Yeah, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Hey. Against all odds. 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 The podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound, Detroit Lions, man. One pride.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise of Grind Morning Show. I'll be one of the hosts today. Will Rock will be joined by Eric Rintamaki. And yes, Riley O'Brien is back with us today on this September 3rd. It is 8:01 a.m. We're going to be talking about your Detroit Lions, running backs for the NFC North. And I think to kick us off, we're going to get into probably one of the most polarizing topics of the day. Popped out last night when the NFL decided to update their list for this weekend's game. And I'll tell you what I mean by that when I come back. But first, let's get the guys in and let's get rolling. Be back here in about 15 seconds.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
And then there was 3.
All right.
What's happening, everybody? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. It's good to be back. I'll say that much for sure. The season is it's here. I think we're all right where we need to be this morning.
I can't believe we're like 36 hours away from the first regular season game of the year. It's insane to me. Every year I say it, you're gonna blink, and it's gonna be here. But I gotta say, I'm so sick. I'm done with the offseason. As you know, I didn't really get into the offseason as much this year as I did in years past. Like I didn't do, a ton of content for a myriad of reasons, but primarily, man, like the offseason gets old, right? Top 10 this, top 5 that. Hell, we're still doing some top 10 stuff with the Unbiased, or the top rooms of the draft or the top rooms of the North. But it gets old, right? All the speculation, no real news outside of, what's really going on with your team during training camp. I think that's when the news cycle kind of changes. But really, since the Super Bowl ends and then after the draft, it's nothing but blah, 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 blah. It gets old. So Eric, what has you most excited about tomorrow, man? Like what's in it for you? Yeah, tomorrow, being Thursday, the first game of the year.
Well, what is it? Cowboys, Eagles? Just that there's football on. I don't care for either team. So just seeing that there's football on, I might have a fantasy football player or two since I might have CeeDee Lamb. And I might have a receiver for the Eagles on one of my teams. So that's what I'm looking forward to, having a little fantasy football to look forward to tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to getting past this Packer game so I don't have to listen and hear about Packer this and Packer that every single day. I'm ready to be past that game.
And Riley, what about you, man? It's been, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks or whatever. You pretty much had the whole summer off. What the hell you been up to? Yeah, I heard a couple of tunes.
Yeah, it's just kind of the same old for me. I was chatting with Eric a little bit here this morning too, and it's funny, man. As a kid, like the concept of time, I remember like summer break, it just felt like this significant chunk of time. And now, like you just said, you blink and the off season's over. And it's just been a lot of the same old stuff for me. Yeah, working on some music but mostly just, man, I'm so excited for the season to be here. You talk about killing time this off season. I think we've done that. And now it's all systems go, man. We're ready to go week 1. And I know for my sister and brother-in-law, they are big Cowboys fans. So for tomorrow, I'm excited. I'll be over there. I'm watching with them. I'm sure just kind of taking in the excitement. But then for us, it's 2:25 for me out here in Utah on Sunday for the kickoff time. So I guess it's 4:25 for you guys, most of you guys out there, right? For kick time, week 1 at Lambeau Field. But it's just around the corner, man.
So I didn't hear an echo. I just listened to it back on YouTube. I didn't hear any echoes or anything.
Same here.
Okay, we should be good. I don't know.
Been temporary.
Could have been. Yeah, we don't have any. Here, you know what? Let me just double check here. Oh, Trace is always spot on.
Yep.
She caught it because there is a audio input output capture in here. And that's what's going to do it. So that should take care of it. Thank you, Trace.
I see Jay Cruzen said I had a robot voice. It takes me to Hutchinson's being bionic kind of comment. Maybe there's something like that going on with me.
Right. I can tell there's a big change in my mic this morning. So I went through and made a few changes last night, and I'll have to dial it in. I still need more time with it. You know, this is not even going to be the mic that I'm using for long term. So we'll see where that goes. All right, let me kick it off with the first segment of the day. And by the way, thank you for joining us this morning. You've definitely found the right place to get all of your Detroit Lions news, rumors, headlines, injury updates, pregame, postgame, in-game, you name it. We got all the games. And we got all the news and insights, analysis, deep off into the stat world. Do a lot of different things that a lot of people don't do. We try to be unique. So thank you for being with us this morning. Do us a quick favor. Hit that thumbs up. Get the likes up. We will always get the ads off for you if you get the likes up past 75 before 8:30, assuming we get enough people in, which that has not been an issue. And also subscribe, man. Help us push to 10K and beyond. We've been kind of stuck in this middle nines. We need to push it past 10K. Let's reach, I don't know, let's go for 50K this year. Let's just have some crazy number out there. Let's just go for 50K, which means you got to help us. It means you got to share it, you got to hype it, and you got to show up, right? Like you guys do every day. Last night, the hammer dropped. The hammer that I think a lot of us are all too familiar with, which honestly has been fairly good to us. And I'm talking about the NFL hammer. And I'm talking about, someone's got to be the nail. Someone has to be the hammer, right? So Packers and Lions. Who's the hammer? Who's the nail? Well, I think that kind of depends on the ref in some of these games. I am speaking to your hearts right now when I tell you that we have had some issues with some refs or perceived issues. I'm going to try to clear a couple of things up this morning with a certain individual. I know it's not going to totally change your mind because there's that one game that will always stick out in your head. I mean, I call it the flashpoint. The mere mention of Clete Blakeman brings back memories of 2019 all over again for everybody. The Lions appeared on the verge of defeating the Green Bay Packers on that Monday night game, only to be gamed by a serious and controversial or series of controversial calls, resulting in that heartbreaking 23-22 loss and almost ensuring the NFC North title for those Green Bay Packers. The Lions to start this season obviously was Patricia, right? It was Patricia Quinn era. Not a good era, but we were 2-1-1. We were looking like NFC North contenders potentially, right? The Lions led 22-13 into the fourth quarter at Lambeau Field. Something that never happens. And then came bang, bang. 2 illegal hands to the face penalties. Defensive end Trey Flower was called for both. Blakeman's crew obviously making some critical mistakes in critical moments. The first call wiped out a 4th and 21 stop that would have forced a punt. Replay showed that Flowers had his hand on David Bakhtiari's shoulder pad, nowhere near his face. The second call on the Packers' game-winning drive, another flag on Mr. Flowers for the same infraction. Again, replay showed no actual hands to the face. The Packers went on to score 10 unanswered points after those 2 calls in the fourth quarter, winning 23-22. I know I've got you guys probably all hot and bothered with this conversation this morning, but the NFL did admit that the second penalty was incorrect. Well, I don't know about the first penalty. That one was incorrect too. Lions fans dubbed this the Lambeau refs game, and it became a symbol of officiating injustice once again against the Detroit Lions. Blakeman also reffed a critical Week 9 game in Green Bay last year in 2024. He was also present during the 2023 run for the Lions NFC Championship game against San Francisco in Santa Clara. There was also a game earlier in the year in the 2024 season where Blakeman was once again the ref against the Raiders. There were no significant issues reported in that game. However, an incident where he did wave off a holding call from one of the umpires did raise concerns about his officiating responsibilities and whether or not maybe he was just doing too much. Despite Blakeman having one of the lowest totals for flags thrown, 220, get this. He dismissed 45 of those calls, tying the most or the highest, dismal rate among officiating crews that season in 2024. It begs the question, so many called off cleat. Why? Why cleat? Why so many flags called off? Did that flag not fit your agenda? For instance, the memorable flag-heavy game between the Seattle Seahawks and Dallas Cowboys. I mean, flags were coming out like every 10 seconds. Every play, it seemed like there was something going on. And then they were picked up. Made no sense. So I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to kind of highlight all of the games that Clete Blakeman has been in. It's a lot more than I think you realize for the Detroit Lions. Eric, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
We'll go in this rotation this morning. We'll go Eric, Riley, then back. So what pops into your head right away when you think about this?
Well, the thing I think of is how many times are we going to get this guy and how long is he going to stay in the NFL? It's kind of ridiculous by now. Last year when Brian Branch unceremoniously gave the double bird to all the people at Lambeau, I know whose crew it was that kicked him out of the game. I was there. I watched. It was not egregious. I did not see anything, but I don't know if that came from New York. I don't know if that came from Clete himself, but it sure seems fishy that his crew is out there. We're playing the Packers once again, and there's a controversial call.
Okay, so you just brought something up because we were at this game.
Yes.
It was pouring. It was a monsoon.
Pouring rain. You couldn't stop yourself from running into somebody.
Well, even that if he could, was it egregious enough that Branch was ejected? Right? We've seen worse hits than that this season already in preseason, no flags. We've seen worse hits in that game and games following that, no flags and no call from New York. Somehow he was booted. And I don't remember the full facts of that game. So, I don't know if it came from New York or if it came from Clete. But either way, the flag was thrown, right, by Clete's team. And I don't know how you watch instant replay and you don't see the same thing that everyone else saw. But it is what it is, man. So, Riley, there's been some contentious waters, man, over the time with this ref. He gets our first game to start the season away at Lambeau, a game that is already, rife with controversy and a huge trade with Parsons and yada, 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 right? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so it was called in from New York because I remember you guys were at the game, and I think back to that game last year when Branch got that ejection, how out of character it seemed to see him give the double bird to the crowd because we hadn't seen anything like that from Brian Branch that would indicate that that's his personality. You'd expect that from certain players, like a CJ, GJ, you would expect that, right? To me, when that happened from Branch, I was like, that seemed out of left field. And then we haven't seen anything like that since. So it goes to obviously tell you how absolutely furious Brian Branch was, but that was in from New York. I just think back to that. You mentioned the Monday night game. I don't recall seeing hands to the face or whatever they were calling for Trey Flowers. I haven't seen that since. And I remember that night that's maybe as mad as I've ever been in my life, honestly. Driving home from that game, I watched it over at my dad's house. I was driving home and I just so incredibly upset. But This one, man, is going to be for the Lions. You're going to have to go out and just take control early and try to do, it's cliche, right? But try to do everything you can to keep it out of the ref's hands. But this adds some intrigue for sure. Just seeing Clete Blakeman's name attached and seeing that that's who's calling this game on Sunday.
So let me finish this real quick. I got to sign in. I want to bring you guys some audio this morning on another quick topic before we run into running backs. In about an hour or so, we have Timothy Brandon joining us today from California. So he's getting up extra early this morning to kind of give us a rundown of the Detroit Lions and what he thinks about the team this morning. So Timothy Brandon should be joining us here in just about an hour. So please do us a favor, stick around and give Timothy Brandon a warm welcome when he gets in this morning. Definitely appreciate him getting up extra early. But he's passionate, man. He's a Lions fan just like you guys. And I know he's doing some writing now, and I want to have him talk about that too. It's funny. I looked at one of his articles. I'm like, dude, you write just like me. Like once you start rolling, it's kind of hard to stop. And you'll see that in last night's article that I released early. I didn't mean to because I didn't go through and scrub it for misspelled words. So I got to clean that up today. So don't kill me. I'm sure there's a couple. But once you start rolling, man, it's like I'm not like all the other people that just want to put out a quick 500 word or 500 character update. No, I'm trying to go deep into a topic, really trying to pour it in. And he kind of does the same thing. But that's the coach's mind, right? That's the coach's mind.
So am I crazy in that?
Well, that's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question. The simple answer is yes. But when we're talking about the hands to the face from Trey Flowers that they were calling, and maybe you guys in the chat can tell me, has anybody seen that call since? I swear it was like the two
it's been
random.
It's been around. It's been around. Maybe not as often. But
you got two on one drive in one game.
Now that I don't know if that's happened recently, but it's definitely happened. And I think that what I've seen more of than hands to the face is they're calling like holding or, defensive pass interference or, you know what I mean? It's like, how are you getting that when the hand brushed the face mask? That happened to the Lions last year. It happened to them this spring, or I'm sorry, this preseason. I don't remember which game it was, but it should have been hands to the face, not whatever they called. So if your hand touches the face mask of the quarterback or another player, right, it should have been hands to the face or a face mask at that point. But I don't remember specifically what play, but I do remember that happening this year. But you're right, hands to the face is not. It's not something that's called often. I'd love to do a little Google search and see just how many. So if one of you wants to jump into your AI and see if it can tell you anything. Let me give you a quick recap on Mr. Clete. So obviously, I'm going to go back just about 5-6 years. The October 14th, 2019 game. Actually, let me go back a little bit further here. 2015. Where's my chart? 2015 versus Chicago. No major controversy in that game. Lions won in overtime 37-34. 2016, week 4 at Chicago again. Lions lost 17-14. Missed a defensive pass interference late in the game in that game. 2017, week 8 versus Pittsburgh. The Lions lost that game 20-15. Lions had, well, let me go back, but there was a questionable offensive pass interference on Tate in that game. Let me wind back to that 2015 game, week 6 for Chicago. Lions had 8 penalties, 70 yards. The opponent, 6 penalties, 50 yards. The penalty differential, -20. The next game versus Chicago in week 4 of 2016. The Lions had 8 for 83. The opponent, 6 for 45. 2017 versus Pittsburgh. Lions had 7 for 50. The opponent, Pittsburgh, 4 for 30. How about in 2018 week 10 again at Chicago? Lions lost that game. That's 3 losses in a row with Clete as the ref. Lions, 6 penalties for 55. The opponent, 5 for 40. And then 2019 week 6 at Green Bay. We all know what happened in this game. We lost 23-22. Lions, 8 penalties, 50 yards. Opponent, 4 penalties, 30 yards. 2020 week 10 at Washington. Versus Washington at home. Lions lost again. That is 5 losses in a row. 7 penalties for 55. The opponent, Washington, 3 penalties for 20 yards. Now, in the previous 2 games, there were 2 illegal hands to the face calls. We know about that in 2019. In 2020, there was a roughing the passer call on the final drive that was questioned. How about in 2021? So the Dan Campbell era, that's the era that matters the most, right? Versus Arizona. We won that game. 4 penalties, 35 yards, tied switched. 6 penalties for the Cardinals. We win that game, clean game. Well, how about in 2022, week 9 versus Green Bay? We win that game 15-9. Tied switched again. 5 penalties for 40 yards, 6 penalties for 45. No major controversy in that game. 2023 Las Vegas Raiders, we win 26-14. That's 3 in a row. 4 penalties for 30. Raiders, 5 for 40. He did miss a holding call on the Raiders. Obviously, that was noted. Plenty of Lions fans saw that one. 2024 at Green Bay last season. Lions, we won that game, right? Yeah, we won that game. 6 penalties, 55, 4 penalties, 35. So that is 1, 2, 3. That is 5 penalties or 5 games in a row we've won. Borderline defensive pass interference call in 2024. The no calls that were missed. Obviously, the 2019 history revived deeply in the media that year. The Brian Branch issue in that game. Now, the 2025 NFC Championship game. San Francisco, we lost that game 5-3. Lions penalties. So I guess here's what I'm going to say. There's been a definite tide change. Since Cleat has been reffing the games with Dan Campbell, we're winning more games. Prior to that, with the Quinn Tricia era, we were losing those games. So I'm going to go ahead and be the Mr. Devil's advocate right now. Is Cleat working the opposite side, but making it look unintentional? If you really believe, we'll put on the tinfoil hat. I know it's been a long time since we wore that. But if we put on the tinfoil hat this morning, do you think that Cleat is inserted by Vegas? Do you think Cleat's inserted by the NFL? Or do you think this is just his damn job? And it's just the game that he pulled? Whatever it is, we've been winning football games. Whatever it is. Yes, I just don't want to see Brad Allen back. I don't want to see that ref ever again. So I'll leave it up to you to decide, but that's the call this morning on Cleat Bakeman. The Lions have had way more wins than losses over the last, 5 seasons or 4 seasons, but there's definitely a history here. And we as fans, we see pattern. And when pattern sticks out, if you see that you have a losing record with somebody, you're going to think you're going to lose the game. There ain't no way in hell we're losing this game this weekend. Now, if there's some questionable calls, we know why. Anybody got anything you want to wrap that up with?
Well, I think as Lions fans going into Lambeau, don't expect any gifts. We're not going to get a call our way that just was blatantly not a flag or something our way. It the other way, sure. I see that happening once or twice in this game for sure, that they're going to get a pass interference call on Terrion Arnold or something when he was 5 yards away from the guy. That's going to happen in this game. They're going to get a freebie. I don't see us getting any freebies. And just thank the Lord that we don't have the Brad Allen crew. I don't ever want to see that crew again, screwing up time left on the clock and everything else. Dallas. It'll be so funny if that's the crew we have for the Dallas game at home against Dallas this year.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, Eric. I think for the Lions, it's just anticipating it. And I'm sure that Coach Campbell has these guys knowing going into the game, like this is this is what you expect. This is how it's going to unfold. And you just got to go in there and, man, I'm so happy. Like when the schedule came out, it's been a while since the Lions have started with a divisional opponent for a season opener. I think it's been since at least like 2020 or somewhere in there when they played Chicago. I love that it's a division game to start the season at Lambeau. Like this is as good as it gets, man. So go in there and let's not leave this up to the officials. Just go in there and make a statement and get a statement win would be obviously ideal.
I think I'm just going to do the rest of the season like this.
You just sit back, relaxed.
Yep. So last night I did this and I fell asleep for about an hour.
I do every show like this.
I was working. I decided to put my chair back to watch something and I was out. Like I was that tired. All right, but we got some big news to share real quick and then we'll get moving on to these running backs. Let me get my pads up here. We got a blue wrench alert. Blue wrench alerts. We've added a couple of wrenches here in the last couple of days. Kevin Barr, Ornery U of M dad, they have now both been added to the mod crew this morning. You have to be accepting of it. I mean, it's a gift, obviously, that keeps on giving. The one thing that the mod crew has done very well is they always show up, right? But I want you guys to all understand the importance of being a mod is to make sure that our community is the best that there is out there, right? We want to have a good, clean, fun community, but at the same time, we want to make sure that our fans' First Amendment rights are always allowed, right? The only thing that we ask, we just don't want a bunch of F-bombs in the chat simply because we have some, we have sponsors now and in the future. And I think that that's important, but we still want you to be able to talk about whatever. If you don't like a player, if you have something bad to say about a player, it's okay, right? But if that's all you do, it gets kind of old, right? It gets disrupting and fans they have enough of it. And what they're going to end up doing is they're going to leave the chat or go watch a different channel because all you do is cause trouble. So that's the only thing that we try to refrain from. You have your opinion. Please do. Have some fun debates. Just please don't attack people. Like no racial stuff, homophobic stuff, whatever it is. Just don't be saying any of this crap that you know what it is. We stay away from race, religion, politics as much as possible. And just be a good person, man. That's what it's all about. It's not hard to be a good person. It's really not. Just treat people like you'd want them to treat your mom, right? Or your grandma. It's that easy. And we're not perfect people. Trust me. Like I said in the mod chat the other day, look, I have had plenty of demons in the closet when I was younger. I was an idiot kid and I made a lot of mistakes. I ended up boxing because boxing wasn't allowed in the parking lot. So I had to do it inside a gym. But you grow up, right? You grow up. We all do dumb stuff. But let's just not do dumb stuff here. Be a good fan. Be the best fan you can be. Some days are going to be harder than others. Some days you're going to have a lot to say about somebody, whether it's Jared Goff or anybody on this team.
Cleve Blakeman.
Yeah, or Cleve Blakeman. See, but it's okay. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay. So anyway, I love it. I'm glad that you guys are involved, but that doesn't mean that this is everybody. So it takes a minute to become a mod. You have to be trusted. And that's the biggest part is you have to be trusted. So we don't just boot people. We have to make sure there's a reason why you get timed out if you misbehave, right? If you do something, you slip up, they'll remind you. The difference this year is questions. Like if you have big questions or a big statement or something to put into the chat, make sure you do use caps. But outside of that, caps help the mod crew work with us so that we can see it. Believe it or not, when the chat's really flying, it's hard. It's hard to see everything. And it's even hard with, 3-4 guys watching it at times. All right, it's 8:30. We really got to get into the running backs. We'll try to do it some good justice this morning. I did have some other things. Maybe I'll share it if I go a little bit long today. But I do want to say this. the audio I'm not going to be able to bring in. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version, and then I'll run it back later on today. I heard this morning. Oh my God, was I shocked. In cruising, yeah, I think I grew up like just a few days ago, to be honest. I'm still growing up. We know some people have not grown up ever. We know who they are. I'm listening to Sirius XM this morning. I had to leave to go get coffee, and perfect timing. They're talking about Parsons. So get this. Parsons, and this was by, I think it's David Mulligata, his agent, said that he was the one that was on the channel this morning. He said that Cowboys offered him a 5-year deal. But when you look at the 5-year deal, the reason why it's a bad deal is because the way that the defensive end market is rolling right now. Oh, you guys better be sitting down for this one. The defensive end position salary cap. I'm sorry, the defensive end position salary is expected to balloon to $65 to $70 million a year in 4 seasons. Wow. That's why they didn't want a 5-year deal or a 5-year deal, because in the back end of the 5-year deal, he's going to lose close to $30 or $40 million, depending on what happens in the next 4 seasons. So let's think about Aiden for just a moment. We just watched it go from 35 to 40 to 47. What was on record by David Mulligata this morning is the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, offered 40.5 in 5 years. So over 200 million, 40.5, and they turned it down. And they just gained 35 million or more by signing with Green Bay. Now, there is a 5th-year option with Green Bay. And apparently, I didn't understand this. It's as a linebacker and not a defensive end. Which I don't understand that. I didn't understand what he was saying. I'm going to try to dig into that and figure out what the hell he meant. But that didn't make any sense to me, because you would think linebackers are definitely not as paid as much as defensive ends.
I think their tag is more.
The tag might be.
Yep.
For now.
They're
But
average,
look at the numbers now.
Mm-hmm.
65 million. What in the world?
47 is out there. It's way too much. 47. When Matt Stafford was here and he was making 30 million a year, I thought that was way too much. He was the highest paid player in the league when he got that contract for $30 million a year.
Oh my
for
God.
the Lions.
David Napier, you don't know who Clete Blakeman is? You're joking, right? You're just trolling. You've got to be trolling. You have to know who Clete Blakeman is. You have to. Oh my goodness, man. $65 million a year. There's no way that you'd be able to keep, I can see where, okay, in 4 years, you're expected to add at least $100 million to the salary cap. So then it would have some offset, right? There'd be some big offset there. I just can't see a single player making $65 million a year not named a quarterback. Which, by the way, if you dig into my article that I dropped last night, I'm going to drop it in the chat. I would love if you guys could please subscribe to my Substack. It is free. You can obviously also, support the channel, or support the page. That's totally up to you. And I the domain name, I will have it fixed. I keep forgetting to fix it. It just takes me a half hour of time. Here's the article. And in here, you're going to find out that Jared Goff, over the last 3 seasons, was only paid about $88 million against the cap, right? So I went a little deep in it. $88 million. He was the 19th highest paid quarterback over the last 3 seasons. The 18 players ahead of him had a combined 13 playoff wins. According to AI, because I didn't go in and check every one, according to AI, only 13 playoff wins, in which in that time, Jared Goff has 2 playoff wins out of the last 2 seasons. So 18 quarterbacks, 3 seasons, 13 wins. Jared Goff has 2, so 2 out of the 15. Let that sink in for a moment. $88 million over 3 seasons against the cap, and Jared's putting up some of the biggest numbers that the NFL's ever seen. You still think he's a bridge quarterback? All right, let's move on to running backs. But let's do that right after. Damn, it's 8:35 already.
Yep.
It's moving today. Eric, run us through YOOPERLITES. Actually, no, you can't because you're not in it. Yeah. Pro Sports Zone. One of these days I'll fix it. Please go check out Pro Sports Zone. I mean, now's the time, right? The season is here. Sunday it's gonna show up in a heartbeat, and it's gonna be Packers and Lions. So you want to go hit that wall-to-wall merchandise at Pro Sports Zone and make sure that you get your latest and greatest piece of Detroit Lions gear this season. They do have the newest designs always in stock at the rock bottom, lowest prices that you can possibly find. Let them know that Rocked On sent you, and you might get yourself a little bit of a discount. Only the best service by John Yu and his crew, man. 37700 6 Mile Road in Livonia, 10 to 8, Monday through Saturday, 12 to 6 on Sundays. Pro Sports Zone, man. Get in the zone. Get your Lions gear today. All right, running backs. So yesterday we did the quarterback unbiased reviews, and today we're going to run through the quarterbacks. I'm sorry. Yesterday we did the quarterbacks unbiased review, and today we're going to run through the running backs. Or the running backs are going to run through us, I guess. I want to get my notes up. And yesterday I had you go first, Eric.
Yep.
Riley, I want to put the pressure on you today. If you
got it.
All right, I'm going to put the pressure on you. So if you have an opening statement or anything that you want to say about the running backs this year, go for it. Otherwise, let's start with, like we did yesterday, number 3 on your list. So any opening statement that you want to say, and then let's start with number 3 on your list.
So for me, NFC North running back tandems, if we're starting at number 3 for me is Minnesota Vikings. You've got Aaron Jones, still productive. This guy's 30 years old. He's got 1,138 rushing yards last year. They go sign Jordan Mason. He's got a 5.3 career YPC, so yards per carry. He does have some burst to him still. Obviously, we saw what he did with San Francisco. So that Minnesota's optimistic that he'll be a good piece for them, backing up Aaron Jones. Solid 1-2 punch. They're aging, less dynamic than the 2 teams or the 2 tandems that I've got in my top 2. So for me, Minnesota Vikings are your number 3 running back tandem duo for the NFC North.
Okay, so who's your number 1 overall? So we have the running back duos, and then we have the best running back in the NFC North. Today is really about the best, but it's kind of hard not to do tandems. You have to. It's part of it. I mean, especially when you look at Detroit, that's just the way they operate. So who would be your number? I don't want your number 1. Who's your number 3 overall? Is that still Minnesota Vikings?
Okay, sorry. So we're doing. My bad. I thought we were doing position groups. So my number 3 would be Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
So you have the Vikings as the best tandem.
Vikings are the 3rd best tandem.
Third best tandem, but Josh Jacobs for the Packers is your number 3.
Well, shit. Now I'm kind of put on the spot.
No, you're good. Just walk it out, man.
Well, okay. So my number 3, I'll say David Montgomery is my number 3 running back in the entire NFC North. If we're just going by the player, not the team tandems. So David Montgomery would be my 3rd best running back in the NFC North.
I got you. All right, I'm going to try to keep up with this and try to write it. I don't know why everything keeps turning white on me here. Okay, so you have Minnesota, number 3, and Monty as number 3. Correct. All right, Eric, number 3 on your list.
I did things just a little bit different. I did them as complete rooms. So not only did I do the tandems and single by themselves, but I also did rooms. So my room number 3 is the Minnesota Vikings, with Aaron Jones leading the way with 1,138 yards and 5 touchdowns. Jordan Mason bringing up next with 789 rush yards and 3 touchdowns. Then you got Ty Chandler with 182 rush yards, 0 touchdowns, and Xavier Scott backing it up with 0 touchdowns and 0 yards. He's a rookie this year. So as a room, I think Minnesota ranks as number 3. I was really close to putting them down underneath the Chicago Bears. It's pretty much 3A and 3B for me with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, because the Bears have DeAndre Swift, but they don't have really anybody behind him, where Aaron Jones at least has Jordan Mason behind him. So that's why I chose that room as number 3. Now, if we're going singular running backs, my number 3 running back is none other than Josh Jacobs, because I think there's 2 clear-cut running backs who are better than him in touchdowns. Maybe not yards, but touchdowns. They're getting it done. And I think that if these other running backs had a singular backfield like the Green Bay Packers do, they would put up numbers that would make Josh Jacobs look like a civilian.
Okay. So let me see if I understand this. For the tandem or the best overall room, you had who?
For the best, the Detroit Lions.
3, Eric.
Oh, number 3. Number 3, my room is the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Tandem. And then my number 3 overall running back would be Josh Jacobs. Because I'm not only looking at it from what they did last year, but what I think they're going to do this year.
Yes.
And what I think all of these running backs would do if they were the lead back in all of these running back rooms.
Gotcha. So yeah, I get how you did it now. So now the question would roll to the chat, and I'm just gonna put Q&A. So rank your number 1 overall tandem, running back tandem. We're gonna do 1 through 4, right? So it's only the 4 teams in the NFC North. And then rank your number 1 overall running back based on what we're discussing this morning, what they've done to this point, and what do you think they're going to do this year, or however you want to put it together. That's the goal for this morning. That's what we're trying to get out this morning. All right. Blakeman does not make any panic for anybody. 57% say no.
Oh, wow.
Hey, that's all right. Here's where I'm going to go. The best overall duo for me at number 3 was the Minnesota Vikings. So all 3 of us hit the same area. So the tandem for me, again, number 3, Minnesota, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. I don't know how you couldn't put them at number 3. I almost was going to put them at number 1, or at number 2 is my tandem. I think that Josh Jacobs does enough to edge those guys out combined. But Aaron Jones can be deadly. He really can be. Again, it's what have you done for me lately? I think that Jones, being the zone runner that he is with great patience, excellent cutback ability, above average in pass blocking, and he's savvy in blitz pickup. So I like that physical, stature of him in that part of the game. Mason has a little bit more of a physical style. He's a short yardage back. Blocking traits are a little bit unproven. But combined, I think that they make a pretty good tandem. As far as, hold on here. Where's the rest of my notes? Here it is. As far as Jordan Mason's rise from a UDFA and as a key contributor, he's been one of the league's quiet success stories for me. After 2 years as a rotational back, Mason took advantage of injuries in 2024 to post, I think he had 789 last year. Let me get the PFF up. And I didn't find any good charts on Next Gen. Maybe I missed it, but I couldn't find any really good charts. Oh my goodness. Okay, last season, 789 yards, 5.2 average, 3 TDs, 11 receptions. This was a huge pickup. Huge pickup for the Vikings this year. When Christian McCaffrey went down, Mason goes in. I mean, it's just seamless. He was able to produce quite a bit compared to a lot of other, running back backups that don't. Traded to Minnesota, obviously, this season. Mason is now designated as the 1B to Aaron Jones. He's expected to handle goal line work, early down carries with projections of 800 plus rushing yards and 7 TDs this season. Mason's physicality and efficiency make him a perfect complement to Aaron Jones' finesse. Though he's not really a dynamic receiver. I mean, I do see him picking up a little bit in the blocking game. His downhill style does give him some standalone value, but if Jones misses any time at all, I think that Mason could become even a fantasy running back number 2 option. Or I think that if you stack these guys, I think he's a great option to have in your fantasy, this season. He's especially if Jones goes down, you can see that he can produce. And he's produced in the NFC, which obviously I think he's not one of the most efficient runners in the division, but he is a sleeper to watch, as Minnesota gets through this season. What we do know is J.J. McCarthy is largely unknown, right, in the passing game. If the Minnesota Vikings go to a run-heavy offense this year, which has been speculated already, now you have a duo. And so what I'm looking at is I'm thinking the Minnesota Vikings are leaning on, at least a little bit, watching what the Lions are doing, keeping both of their running backs healthy and using a tandem as opposed to just running one guy into the ground, which teams often do, and then they wonder why they're injured halfway through the season. So Minnesota, for me, is number 3, and my overall number 3 running back is also Aaron Jones.
Wow.
Aaron Jones. Now, what did Aaron Jones have last year? 13 something?
Had to have been right in that range.
Here, I can tell you. Hold on one second. Aaron Jones was 1,138 rush yards with 5 TDs.
So he was 200 behind Josh Jacobs.
Yes, and 10 touchdowns behind.
But the reason why I have him at number 3, obviously the stats from last year would tell you that. I could easily put him in at number 2 simply because of what I just said about the Minnesota Vikings' expected offense this year is more of a run heavy. And if their offensive line can handle it and they're able to push the ball, then absolutely you could see where he could leapfrog Josh Jacobs in a heartbeat. So, all right, let's get into. Let's go number 4. Let's go number 4 now.
Number 4.
So number 4 overall tandem, and then number 4 overall running back.
Rolling with me right here.
Yeah, we'll roll you first.
Okay, so for 4, the tandem, it's got to be the guys in Chicago.
Whoop.
What
Somebody's
happened?
got the phone up.
Our boy Tim's in here might be picking up.
Yeah.
He won't be on for another almost a half hour or so, right?
Yeah, he's in the
he's in the back room. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Okay, I can't hear
That was
myself.
going
So yeah, we're good. Yeah, no, for the tandem, it's DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson out there in Chicago. Swift last year had 1,345 scrimmage yards, but low efficiency. He's only averaging 2.7 yards per carry after contact. We know that he's dynamic in terms of his talent, but you don't know how many games you're going to get out of him. Roschon Johnson, they give the ball to on the goal line a lot. He had 6 touchdowns, but he's just not explosive. They just give it to him for those 2 or 3 yard chunks. So he can get the ball in the end zone, but there's not a lot of dynamic playmaking. I feel like a burst, explosive plays that you can get out of your running back room in Chicago. So for me, the number 4 tandem is Swift and Johnson in Chicago.
So I'm going to agree with you one more time. I think the running backs are pretty easy. And, DeAndre Swift had 959 rush yards, 6 TDs last year. Roschon Johnson, 150 yards and 6 TDs. So he is your, I guess you'd say, David Montgomery. He's the guy that's going to get the touchdowns and get you down there close, do the red zone stuff. DeAndre Swift, he hasn't done much since he was with the Detroit Lions. Now, if I had to pick an overall number 4, let's see. Number 4 overall running back. I know who my 1, I know who my 2, I know who my 3 is. So I'm going to say Aaron Jones is my number 4 running back from the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not going to put old DeAndre Swift up that high, but that's just my way of thinking. And then I did a little thing here while we were talking, and I had good old AI rank the running backs on what they think they're going to do this year in the NFC North. And their number 4 running back was ahead of Aaron Jones. They had Aaron Jones at number 5. They have DeAndre Swift at number 4. And this is what it says. Swift is projected to lead the Bears backfield and is expected to be solid, if not spectacular, starting at running back. AI predicts point to a season of around 900 to 1,000 yards and 5 to 7 touchdowns, supplemented by 40 to 50 receptions. His success will be closely tied to the overall performance of the Bears offense under a new scheme with Ben Johnson.
Okay, so I screwed up.
Okay.
I screwed up. So my number 3 overall tandem was Green Bay. It wasn't Minnesota. It was Green Bay. Minnesota is my number 2 overall tandem, but we'll get to that in a minute. Number 4 for me, obviously in the tandem group here, are the Bears. I don't think that's any surprise. You have Khalil Herbert. His career has kind of been a roller coaster of flashes and some frustration. Drafted in 2021, he showed some early promise, 5.7 yards per carry. In 2022, injuries, inconsistent usage have kept him from locking down a lead role. And then after a midseason trade to Cincinnati in 24, Herbert signed with the Colts. I'm sorry. Nope, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Herbert's strengths lie in his vision and burst. He's a one-cut runner who excels in outside zone. However, his pass protection and receiving limitations have capped his third down usage. Look, he's 27 years old. I think he's 27 this year. Herbert is fighting to stay relevant in kind of a crowded backfield landscape this year. You also have Roschon Johnson in that room. Entered the NFL as a very physical, high character back with limited college volume. What I see the Bears doing is stacking some, older, maybe some guys that aren't used, as often anymore, but they still have some pop to them. And Johnson has like 2-3 running backs that can actually play if need be. He had limited college volume because of Bijan Robinson's presence. He was drafted in 23. Johnson carved out a niche in short yardage and goal line, situations. But then you also have DeAndre Swift, which the oft-injured DeAndre Swift has somehow, very miraculously stayed fairly healthy since joining the Eagles 2 seasons ago, and with the Bears last season. DeAndre Swift, once again, is the lead back for the Bears, but he just doesn't do enough for me. He never has. I think that he's explosive in the pass game, without a doubt. I mean, I think that we can absolutely expect him to be utilized in Ben Johnson's scheme this year, but he is my number 4. That is my number 4 overall tandem. And as far as my number 4 overall running back, well, it's nobody from the Bears. It's David Montgomery is my number 4 this year. And I know a lot of you probably just gasp, like, what the F, Will? What do you mean David Montgomery's your number 4? Well, when you look at the guys ahead of him and you look at the production that David Montgomery is probably going to have this year, it will be outdone by everybody that's ahead of him, most likely. Unless you see Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot all day long, I don't see how it could be any different. So let's quickly move into number 1. We've done number 3. We've done number 4. Do me a favor. Make sure you guys save, your calls. You write it down. Make sure you have it, and then send it to me because I'm not going to be able to get it all filled in. We got a few minutes before we got to get Mr. Timothy in here, Mr. Brandon. So let's go to number 1. We'll start with you, Eric.
All right. So number 1, I have the Detroit Lions. Their room is the best. Listen, Jahmyr Gibbs, he was a 91.4 on PFF, best of all the running backs. His 1,412 rushing yards led the NFC North. His 16 touchdowns led all running backs in the NFL. And then you got David Montgomery backing him up with an 84.9. He missed 5 games and still had 775 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. And that's why I'm not going to put David Montgomery down at number 4. He's going to be at number 2 because I'm looking at it this way. If David Montgomery had to step in because there's an injury to Gibbs, he is a 1A running back. He's not a 1B. He's not a 1C. He's not a 2. He's not a 4. He's a 1A. If you had to rely on David Montgomery for 5 games because Gibbs is out for 5 games with a hamstring, I would have no issue with him being the lead back. No problem whatsoever. So I think that David Montgomery, given the exact same tools that Josh Jacobs or Aaron Jones has in the backfield with the same exact everything, I think David Montgomery would do a better job than both of them. So that's just my personal opinion. So my number 1 room is Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, backed up by Craig Reynolds and Sione Vaki. And when you put together everything that all 4 running backs have done in the last year compared to any other room, it's not even close. Nowhere close. So my number 1 is the NFC North. And my number 1 and number 2 are Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
You homer. All right, Riley, let's go.
We gotta love it, man. That's what Eric's gonna bring. But here's the thing: he's absolutely 100% right.
No,
and I feel like when you hear, it's such and such, it's not even close. I feel like that's one of the more overused things in sports, but it's true. Again, in this case, there's nothing that this running back room, there's no ingredient that it's missing. I mean, familiarity, you've got, willingness to work together. You've got receiving, you've got running, you've got blocking, you've got the fact that they're good teammates. You've got the fact that they're right at the perfect age. It's kind of like if they did a thing with Chicago, it's almost like it should be Gibbs and Roschon Johnson and then Swift and Montgomery. And that would be like the most like, okay, let's, head to head. But the two best running backs, I will give a nudge to Josh Jacobs over Montgomery, and I would explain why. But it's almost unfair that the Lions have Montgomery and Gibbs. And I go back to when Brad Holmes made the move to get these guys. That was coming off a year when Swift and Jamal Williams led the league in rushing touchdowns. It felt like such a weird, you're pulling the plug on this. Well, now, obviously, we've got the benefit of hindsight. Now we know why they did it. But it's easily number 1 for me. Jahmyr Gibbs is the best running back, arguably, in the NFL. He certainly is in the NFC North. And there's no doubt that the NFC North's best running back room is in Motown.
Okay, so number 1 for you is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Correct.
All right. And number 1 tandem is the Lions.
Yes.
Okay. This is where oil meets water.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Hey, we lined up on everything yesterday.
It's just
So
rare.
it's about time that we don't.
Yeah. I know a lot of people think that we all agree, or that, we all, agree on a lot of things. We tend to, but at the same time, it's not rehearsed. It's just it's how we feel.
If I came in here and said Chicago's the best running back room, that would be more rehearsed than what I just said, right?
That would just be some hot take BS, is what that would be. Mr. Brandon, just hold tight. We got a few more minutes. We'll be right with you, buddy. I promise. So looking at a league that's obsessed with quarterback play and vertical passing, the Lions have built their identity through the last 4 seasons, entering year 5 with Thunder and Lightning in the backfield, or Sonic and Knuckles, whatever way that you want to refer to it. It's rewriting the rules for offensive balance. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are not just complementary. They're combustible, right? Together, they've turned Detroit's run game into a weapon of precision and power and chaos for defenses. Gibbs, he's the spark, man, that gets that motor running. He's a blur in motion when he steps on the pedal. He's the kind of player who forces defensive coordinators, well, to redraw their game plans night after night after night. Then they give up. They just rip it up and throw it into the fire. Whether lining up in the backfield, the slot, or ghosting across the formation in a jet motion, Gibbs demands attention. His 2024 stat line, over 1,400 rushing yards, over 500 passing yards, over 20 touchdowns, wasn't just elite. It's historic. He became the first Lion since Barry Sanders who posted 2,000 scrimmage yards in a season, and he did it with style. He broke ankles. He split safeties. He turned swing passes into 40-yard explosions. And then you have the other side. You have the dynamic duo, as we call him, but David Montgomery, he's the hammer, the sledgehammer, as I referred to him last year, as then Dan Campbell graced us with a press conference that same day, referring to David Montgomery as the sledgehammer. He doesn't dance, he detonates. Inside zone, gap power, red zone, trench warfare, you name it, Montgomery thrives where yards are earned in blood and bruises. That's what he does. He's the pound, he's the ground, he's going to wear you down. 12 rushing touchdowns last season were just a testament to his vision, contact balance, and refusal to go down on a first contact. He's one of the best running backs in the league with yards after contact. He's the kind of back who turns a 3rd and 2 into a formality and a 4th and goal into a celebration. But what makes this duo truly lethal is how they operate together. Gibbs softens those edges, stretching the defenses sideline to sideline. Montgomery will punish the middle, forcing linebackers to hesitate. And then when Detroit goes to tempo, toggling between two backs like a cheat code, defenses just unravel. In 2024, the Lions led the NFL in rushing touchdowns and ranked top 5 in EPA per rush. Proof that this isn't just volume. It's efficiency. Pass protection? Montgomery's a wall. Receiving game? Gibbs is a slot receiver in disguise. Blitz pickup? Both backs graded in the top 10. Pass blocking efficiency? There's no weakness with these two running backs. Just versatility, violence, and velocity. In a division stacked with talent, Detroit's backfield isn't just the best in the NFC North. It's the blueprint for modern-day backfield construction, and you're starting to see the other teams in the league follow suit. And with Ben Johnson fingerprints still on the playbook from across the pond, the Lions aren't just running the ball anymore. They're going to redefine what a running game can be here in 2025. Gibbs and Montgomery aren't just a duo, man. They are a problem. And in 25, the rest of the league is still searching for answers that they will never get. All right, we're just going to spit it all out now. Here's what I have. Best overall tandem. There is no doubt it's the Detroit Lions. No doubt. My number one running back is Jahmyr Gibbs. And if I heard Eric correct, it was 1A, 1B, Gibbs and, Montgomery. Gibbs and Montgomery, which I would tend to agree. Now, if Montgomery was on another team in the NFC North, then I would say he'd be number 2 right now, even though his yardage and his stats have not held up to that, largely because they're in a split backfield. So I respect that. I do. But this is what it looks like for me. It's Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery. You could have easily put in a Chicago Bear somewhere on this list, which is really the exercise. But at the same time, the goal is to what? It's to rank the best running backs in the North. It's to rank the best tandem in the North. Well, the best running back by far is Jahmyr Gibbs. And you can't leave David Montgomery off that list in the top 4 because if he has to play a significant amount of snaps, he's going to carry this offense just like he always has. However, Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs are going to get more stats in him this year. It just depends on how the Lions use him, but we don't know what we don't know. And that's the part of the exercise. In the tandem, it's the Lions, Minnesota, Green Bay, and then the Bears for me. That's how I have it operating. I do believe that Minnesota has a much better backfield than the Packers. Emmanuel Wilson is not known. Like, he is a nobody. But we do know, who Aaron Jones is in Jordan Mason or Mason and Jones. Like, we know. I mean, it's a great law firm name, but I think that's going to be a good running back duo this year. Final 30 before we bring in Tim.
All right. I got something really quick.
Well, do you have a final 30 on the running backs?
Sure. So the running backs, I rank it as this. I think it's Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears in that order. I think that for right now, I'm going to give the Packers a little more credit than they deserve, but I think they're just a little bit better than Minnesota. The kid they brought over in Minnesota, Mason from the 49ers. Yeah, he had a good little bit with, 5 yards an average per run with the 49ers, but what's he going to do with Minnesota? So he's kind of unproven with Minnesota. And so to me, that just puts him down one little notch under the pack for right now. I'm going to give the Packers a little bit of credit.
And Riley, go ahead, man. I'm trying to bring in Brandon right now.
Yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, for me, it's Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears, and then in the pecking order, the individual player, it's Jahmyr Gibbs. For me, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. And that's the 5. I'm sending it in. Send it in to the take it with you to the bank. Be interesting to see. I don't know if Tim's been able to listen in, but be interesting to see his running back rankings to see if they differ from ours.
Oh, maybe we'll get an opportunity to ask him here. So if you guys want to take it away for a few moments, talk about whatever you want. I do see that there was just a large donation that just dropped in the bucket by Trace. I challenged the chat to get over 100 likes during the live stream. And she dropped in $20 just to ask you to do that. Big shout out to you. Appreciate you, Trace. Thank you so much for all the work that you do.
She wants 100 billion likes, though.
Well, there we go. Let's get 100 billion. Let's do it with a B.
All right. Hold
on. Tim, I'm trying to get you in, buddy. Just for some reason, I don't see my quad look, so I've got to build one real quick. It won't take me very long.
All right. While Will's doing that, I have an update for everyone on an injury. So one of the bigger surprises during the Detroit Lions opening practice of the regular season was the absence of rookie wide receiver Isaac Tesla. With no injury report until Wednesday afternoon, fans and analysts were left to speculate on what was going on with Detroit's third-round pick. But on Wednesday morning, Coach Dan Campbell put the mystery to bed, noting that Tesla is dealing with an illness that he's already recovering from. He just had a little bug, Campbell said on 97 Won the Ticket. I think he'll be all right here. He's coming in the building today. He's been in virtual meetings. I know he feels a lot better, but we'll see. So there it is. Isaac Tesla was dealing with a little bit of a bug, and he's back in the building for practice today.
Well, that's good news.
That's welcome news that we'll take. And I'm sure you guys, Will and Eric, had discussed this sometime over the last 6 weeks, but I hadn't had a chance to say this yet on the show. But to me, it was just so interesting. We know that Brad Holmes will be really, he's calculated with what he says. But to me, I thought it was so revealing how transparent he was when he was flat out asked, what's the draft? You're known for all these hits that you have. What's the miss that you regret the most? You know what he said? Puka. And then right after that, around the corner, it was, man, this Isaac Tesla he sure looks and plays a lot like Puka Nacua. So to me, that's an awfully high bar because, Puka was phenomenal right out of the gate as a rookie. But man, that's kind of the hope for me is maybe that's why Brad Holmes was so comfortable just coming out and saying that, because he knew, hey, I've got somebody over my shoulder right now, because they were out at Allen Park practicing, right? I think during that interview. So he's comfortable that he has somebody that can fill those shoes. So anytime I hear Isaac Tesla's name, that's what comes to mind for me is he the next Puka? I think that's remains to be seen, but that'd be awesome for this offense if that's the case. And yeah, that's welcome news. A hell of a lot more than I'll take a stomach bug or whatever it was that was affecting him, a lot more than some other type of ailment. So that's good news, Eric.
Yeah. So I have an interesting tidbit about Isaac Tesla for this weekend, Sunday at 4:00 in Lambeau. I placed a couple of bets on Isaac Tesla. Yes, of course I did, right? So my first bet was $5, and it was anytime touchdown scorer by Isaac Tesla at plus 475. So my $5 is going to win me $28.75. Well, then I went one further, right? I was like, man, I'm really confident about this. So I did Isaac Tesla to be the first touchdown scorer in the game.
He might not even be in the game.
Well, he might play. He's practicing today. If he is the first touchdown scorer at plus 2,800, my $5 bet will win me $145.
Which I'm assuming you will put towards, or you know what? Shame on me. I probably should already. Do you already have a Tesla jersey?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, then, yeah.
I wore it to the last preseason game, and Isaac Tesla's parents pulled me aside and said, "Hey, we see you got a Tesla jersey.
Right.
We're his parents." And I got my picture taken with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, remember Mike P with a super chat there.
I can't see it right now.
Right on. $10 super chat from Mike P. It doesn't say anything, just got a guy flying through the air.
Oh my goodness, what is going on here?
So Trace dropped that $20 super chat. What was it to get us to 100 likes? So what are we at now?
We are at 84 right now with 120 people watching.
All right, give me 2 seconds here. I'm almost done.
Yep, you're good. And this will be excited to get Tim Brandon back in the room. For those of you that may have recalled, Will and I did an interview with him. Man, it might have been in like March or something. It's early on in the off season, and then fast forward till now. Here we are, the week of game, the season opening game, week 1. So be awesome. Tim's I'm sure we'll do a little introduction with him, but he's a football coach, very strong football mind. So I'm excited to get his takes too. Unbiased. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you'll want to do that starting today. He's got a lot of really good takes, and not afraid to get to mix it up with people. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, he's been a little spicy out there.
Yeah, he's not afraid to express his opinion, but that's one of the things I like about him. So.
Oh, the struggle bus today.
Goose put in a $50 bet on the Lions winning the Super Bowl and Bryce Underwood to win the Heisman is $33,000.
Who?
So Bryce Underwood from Michigan, the freshman, to win the Heisman and the Lions winning the Super Bowl, a parlay, $50 wins you $33,000. I don't know so much about Bryce Underwood winning the Heisman, but I'm not much of a college watcher. I did not watch Michigan play last week. I'm hoping to hit a Michigan game, though, this year, and a Central Michigan game.
I don't know why his video is not showing up for me.
It's kind of interesting, Will. I just yours. Can
Go ahead.
you? I can see Tim. Can you see him, Eric?
Yeah, I see him. I don't see Will, but
I don't
that's
either.
right.
That's
Yeah.
a weird thing.
You don't see me in the
In the back room.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's weird.
But Tim, can you see me and Eric? He can
Yep,
see both
he
of
can
us.
see
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Can you hear us? Right.
Can
So you
he
know
can
I'm
hear all of
working
us.
on this?
yeah, he
Yep.
can hear all of us. Yep.
He can hear us.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Knowing me, I probably fell asleep, was pushing buttons, and deleted the whole scene.
It's all good, man.
Trust me, I've done it.
So you've got quite a bit on the line on Sunday, Eric.
Oh, I have so many bets you don't even know. And I keep doing the deposit, putting more money on so I can make more bets. It's funny. You know, $5 here, $10 there. It adds up.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But then I did.
This scene is not going to look the greatest simply because for some reason Eric's video is in a different format. And I don't know why.
Weird.
It's never been in this format before. Let me get all the ads off, the counter off. The Rockhound logo can go bye-bye. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere.
Hey, we're up to 90 likes. Let's keep it going. 10 more to hit Trace's goal.
Okay, can everybody hear everybody? Tim, do you got us? Are you muted? We got you now. Just a quick audio check. Everybody out there listening, do me a quick favor. Tim, go ahead, give us a quick introduction about you, and then we'll see how your audio stacks, and then I can fix it.
That's one of the best things, Tim, is your interactions with people. They'll say something, you'll say something, you'll make a point, and then it's just like, dude, go cut your hair. Yeah.
Packer fans say the same thing about my beard.
We don't have any audio. Here we go.
No audio on Tim.
Yeah,
Packer fans
now we got
say the same. Packer fans say the same thing about my beard. They tell me to go cut it off.
Your beard, but these Lions fans, are they going to tell Alex Anzalone, hey, go cut your hair, man? You know, it's just it's low hanging fruit, man. It's interesting to see what they say. But all right, see, Tim, say something else here. See if we've got you in the chat.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, let us know, chat.
Tim, did you mute yourself? Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, no, everything's good.
Yeah, he's going.
I don't know why I can't hear him now.
Yep, they're saying in the chat they can hear him.
They got him.
There we go. Yep, everybody's saying.
Everybody but Will.
Why can't I hear him?
I don't know.
Well, while he's working on that, maybe Tim, I don't know if you were listening in to the running back rankings that we were doing here.
Yeah.
So I guess if you wouldn't mind, maybe give us your thoughts. If you kind of did the room, I guess give us first 1 through 4 your running back rankings per running back room for the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's Detroit first. You know, I mean, I think they're probably the best room in the league. Just with you know the both backs, just how they attack the game different. And here's the thing, like Gibbs can be a power guy. You know, he can lower the shoulder and run between the tackles. And Montgomery, we've seen, can break the long runs. You know, a couple years ago in LA against the Chargers. You know, I was there for that one. He broke like 70 yards. He might not outrun everybody, but he could still catch the ball out of the backfield. We saw against Seattle last year. I think then it goes, Green Bay with Josh Jacobs, Minnesota, and then Detroit not Detroit, Chicago. They're a bunch. They're Detroit light, I guess. But they come in fourth because they want to just get everybody from Detroit. So yeah, it would go Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago for me.
Okay, so I've got audio back. I have everybody. Let's just remember, fellas, let's stay muted while Tim responds, and that way we don't have a bunch of over talk today. But we should be good, man. Tim, thank you. I apologize about the issues there. It happens.
No, of course, thank you.
That's why I wanted to do it last night, man. Things just I got so busy last night. And then my hour power nap didn't help either. So, man, good to have you back on. So as I put some questions in the chat there on YouTube, and to kind of preface today is to kind of give us your overall thoughts, what happened with this team, you know, starting with the offseason losses, the offseason additions, the draft, culminating through preseason, you know, training camp to preseason. You have a really good picture now of obviously who our team is, right? I mean, they are the first unofficial depth chart dropped yesterday. And I think that's where I want to start is the defense and the defensive outlook. The Lions brought back pretty much everybody and then added some new faces, not only the last minute, but like guys like Grant Stewart, bringing back Marcus Davenport, you know, the late additions of Tyrus Wheat and Lacey and Thomas. So the rooms have been filled up. But when you look at the defense, give us what is your overall big picture of the defense outlook compared to last season? And where do you think this defense is better, weaker, or neutral?
I think overall, I think the defense is going to be better. Not because we switch coordinators and Kelvin Shepard's going to, you know, I just think the health, you know, that we can't. I don't see the Lions suffering as many injuries as they did. I mean, that was unheard of last year. Just the amount of injuries they were getting, and like guys they were bringing in on Tuesday played Sunday, and then Monday they were going on IR. It was just it was crazy. Just overall health wise, I think they'll be better. I think Kelvin Shepard is gonna do some things differently. I mean, obviously he's gonna keep the stay on course with everything because it's the same thing with offense. We'll get into that, but I mean, you don't want to change too much because it's been working. I mean, they went 15-2 with a bunch of janitors last year for the most part. I think they're gonna play a lot of man coverage still. I think what I'm really interested in seeing is how he brings pressure. I know he's going to bring the linebackers a little bit more. He's going to do something where he's going to allow the guys that maybe don't have a responsibility, or if they do have a responsibility, like, hey, I'm supposed to read the back. If he comes out, then I go with him. But if he sits, I'm going to find that gap and go, and kind of not so much play on the fly. That sounds a little chaotic to let guys just do what they want out there, but there are schemes, there are defenses where you're like, hey, if you don't have anything, go rather than just cover grass, go make a play. So I think we're going to see that a lot. And with Barnes, I mean, you saw him, he can rush the passer as long as he finishes the tackle, unlike the Dallas game a couple years ago. We'll see a lot of different pressure packages, and I think he's going to take calculated risks. He's not going to just so much play back and just kind of let's play safe. I think he knows that the offense is going to be able to bail him out, or not really bail him out, but like recover if the risk doesn't pay off.
I got you there. So last season, you kind of touched on it for a minute. But the biggest thing that I saw during practice, and then even in spots during preseason, which this preseason, I think the Lions did a lot of unscripted, no scheme. It's just kind of best man on best man. Just go for it. Just make a play kind of preseason is what I saw. I didn't really see any scheme. Very minor vanilla stuff, right? But in practice is a different story. And Eric and I went to the first practice together, and I noticed right away that our linebackers were a lot more involved. And then as I got to my third or fourth practice, that's what I noticed the most. So last season, the Lions manufactured a lot of pressure, and it was not because they couldn't get pressure with the guys that they had, but that's the problem. They had those guys, right? They, to your point, you mentioned we went 15-2 with some janitors. And I've never heard anyone refer to it that way, but hey, it makes sense. These guys are pouring coffee at they're baristas at Starbucks on a Monday. They're playing in the NFL on Wednesday. It's crazy to think like that happened for the Lions last year, but they had to manufacture pressure because they lost pretty much everybody but Campbell and DJ Reader on that front seven, which is nuts to think about. You start the season with a full complement of players, and by week 10, 11, 12, whatever it was, you're down everybody but two guys on the front seven. I started to see Shepard use the backers more and create this attacking style versus a go style, on the defense. And what I mean by that is kind of what you just pointed to. Maybe you're not going to be schemed up to just go get the ball or, to go get after the quarterback. It's read, react, right? Read if you've got to pick up somebody coming through the middle or coming over around the top of the defense there, you got to pick them up. If it's a tight end, if it's a running back, whatever, you have to pick them up. But if that's not happening, now you go find your hole. You hit that lane and you go. That's what I started to see. And so instead of sending multiple guys on a blitz each play, I see more of this read and react style of a blitz. Send your front four always, right? However, you might hold your ends at time. Your defensive ends may not crash in. They may just kind of hold and contain that edge, set the edge. And when you set the edge, you start to limit what the running backs can do. And you start to limit what the quarterback has for outlets. And then you're just man on man at that point, and you can start to send guys when they're freed up. So explain to me how utilizing the linebackers this year, if it does happen more, which I'm expecting, especially coming from a linebacker and a former linebacker coach, he's going to want to highlight his guys. That's just natural. Explain, I guess, to the audience and to us how you feel the linebackers could be a highlight instead of just the defensive ends this year.
Just how we talked about, just letting them play free, letting Jack Campbell be Jack Campbell. I think everybody knows that I was on board with him even before the draft. Like, I was arguing with people about drafting him at 18. The Derek Barnes, again, that's somebody that they drafted, they developed, and he got the contract extension. Let him be himself. Let him make the plays that he can make. Alex Anzalone, he speaks for himself. Let him, especially him, let him go out and make plays, because he's going to be a little bit extra motivated. Not saying he's not motivated already, but he's going to be extra motivated because he didn't get that big contract that he was looking for. So he's looking to either show the Lions, hey, re-up me, or, is there another team out there that might want my services, and look what I can do, playing all over the place. So you have those three linebackers right there. Let them be playmakers. Let them make plays. Again, don't let them run around without any responsibility and freelance. You have to have some sort of, direction or responsibility. But I think there's more of let them make plays. They're all starters for a reason. They're all starters on a good team for a reason. There's differences. Are you a starter on a bad team or a starter on a good team? That's a huge difference. And let them go out and make plays. And like I said, you'll take those calculated risks of, all right, I'm going to send you on this play right now. This is your gap. This is where you're going. Hit that. And I think we're going to see what we saw at the beginning of last year, a top 5 defense that's just shutting everything down.
Grant Stewart. So Grant Stewart has really taken his opportunity this year, coming from the Indianapolis Colts, was in a reserve role and is now a 2025 Detroit Lions captain. And I have to say, I wasn't surprised. He's been one of the guys that I've highlighted this year. I spoke a lot about. What do you think about Grant Stewart? How does he push for time? And I guess my idea, you tell me what you think, is that Grant Stewart is probably going to be the guy coming in on third down more often than not. He probably won't be utilized in the first couple of downs. I mean, he's decent in the run game, but I see his speed, his tenacity, his veracity getting after the quarterback being a specialty for him, especially sneaking through DJ Reader and Tyleek Williams up the middle, or, through the B gap, or even off the tackle's edge. What do you think about Grant Stewart's addition to this team? He's going to be a special teams ace, but where does he fit into this defense? How do you think the Lions are going to utilize him?
Obviously, as a kick returner, that's his number one job.
Right.
That
was fun to watch, though. I mean, if he gets an opportunity, great, but you could see the electricity in him, man. He has it.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I think you're spot on with it. He's going to be that third down guy. I think he might be the guy that comes in on third downs and will be like that fifth rusher. I mean, his motor is tremendous. I mean, we all saw the play where he gets upended, flips over, gets up, still gets the sack. Him being named captain, wasn't a surprise. I think maybe a lot of outsiders or a lot of people that weren't actually paying a lot of attention were surprised, like, oh my God, a new guy getting the captain spot. But if you see his interviews, he comes in and talks, I've never been a part of a team that practices like this, or, day in and day out. He, the run game, is iffy. It's average. But like I said, when I did my roster prediction, he adds more defensively than who he was competing with that got cut. Pittman's great on special teams, but doesn't really add anything defensively. Grant Stewart got snaps last year on defense with the Colts, so that I think that helps too. And again, he kind of reminds me, and I could be completely off, but he reminds me of Rodrigo, and that's not a bad thing to have when he comes back, to have two of those players.
I'm almost beginning to wonder if Rodrigo's even going to be able to make it back. I mean, we have 6 guys on this linebacker room. I want them all to stay healthy, but the biggest problem is, how are you going to fit? How are you going to fit him inside this linebacker room that is so deep? So we'll see when that time comes how the Lions handle it. Anything else you want to add to the linebacker room? Otherwise, I want to move to the edge real quick. And a quick question. So ads on. My only question is, did we get to 75 before 8:30, and are we at 75% right now? I'll go ahead and move them off today, but let's try to pay attention to that one tomorrow. I really want to stick to that because I think it'll help us to grow. Obviously, it'll also help us to stay true to what we're trying to get done. The edge. There's been a lot of conversation this year. I have not spoken to you since the last time, outside of maybe a message or here or there or a comment on Twitter once in a while. We had a lot of meltdown situations going on for Detroit fans because they didn't bring Za'Darius before week 1. They didn't to go after Trey. They didn't go, spend $50 million on Parsons. What give us your overall take on the edge? What the Lions did or didn't do this year, agree or disagree. How do you feel about our 2 guys? I'll leave you with this before you answer. Dan Campbell just said yesterday, Marcus Davenport has nothing more to prove to me. He stayed in this building. He got his body right. He worked his ass off. But Marcus Davenport, when he's on the field, is one of the best defensive ends, according to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. And the guys that he goes up against, he's a lot to handle. So give us your take on these 2 guys to start, and the overall edge position, what the Lions did or didn't do this season.
I respect it from Dan Campbell. And if you look, they're going to give players every opportunity to get right. I mean, look, he stayed with J-Mo through his ups and downs. They had I forget the corner's name already. They had him for 2 years, and he played 2 snaps. They're going to give guys the opportunity to get themselves right, to come in and prove what they could do. Marcus Davenport was a first-round pick for a reason. He's very good. I mean, I don't think anyone can argue that or deny that. It's just his health.
They do daily.
Yeah, and if he could stay healthy, and that's the thing. I get the concern, and Brad and Dan can say, his body's right and everything's good, but even they deep down are doing this. They're like, please just stay healthy. And even as a coach, you can be excited for a player and be like, oh, everything looks good, but you're still like, there's still doubt. Who they have there. Aiden Hutchinson, he's Aiden. If he comes back, which everything that I'm reading and seeing and everything is, he looks better than last year. Same with Davenport, he looks better. And if Panay Sewell and Taylor Decker, who are two of the better tackles in the league, and that's downplaying how good they are. But if they're saying that Davenport's a lot to handle, then like trust from them. They're. Davenport's not going to face really anybody that much better than Panay Sewell. I get everybody's concern, and I was on the board too. Like, would I love Trey Hendrickson? Yes. Would I have loved Micah Parsons? Yes. Do I want Zadarius Smith? Yes. I get why we don't have Micah Parsons. I get why we don't have Trey Hendrickson. It's and everybody's going to go to, oh, well, we don't have a Super Bowl. Cool. Well, if we trade and get rid of a lot of capital or lose Brian Brent, which I've seen people say we should have traded Brian Brent. If we lose the guys that we built or used to build this team to get a guy, we don't get the Super Bowl. Cool. Well, we're in the same boat. We don't have a Super Bowl. Now we're screwed for the next couple of years, where we're paying $50 million for a pass rusher. We lost some core guys, and what really did we get? Well, at least we went for it. So I'm fine with it. Would I want a Super Bowl? Yes. If you said, hey, would you take a Super Bowl right now and then 10 years of losing? That's a very good question, and that's very tempting. Like, you know what? Yeah, because at least I can finally tell Vikings, yeah, we got one more Super Bowl than you, and the Bears. That we tied with you, and your last Super Bowl was 50 years ago. But I'm also like, I like where we're at. I like waking up and going into the game and being like, hey, we're gonna win this game, instead of I hope we don't embarrass ourselves.
I think it's a good point. If you don't mind, let me stop you there for just a brief moment. You just brought up something that I think it's a hot button issue in Detroit. We don't have a Super Bowl. I think there's 4 or 5 teams or something that have never been to a Super Bowl, and there's even more that don't have one. We're not the only team, but I think it's a lot of bandwagon fans or SOL fans that are, just clinging on every year, and maybe not the diehard fans that have been around since day one that see where this team has been, have now seen where it's able to go when you actually have the right investment from the top down. The Lions finally rebuilt this team starting in 2021. You did not get here because of chance. You didn't get here because of luck. They got here because of a process. And that process is starting to fill itself out. You are now into the later stages where, yeah, you could go all in, but you just mentioned something that is so critical. All in means you're going to end up losing somebody or 2 or 3 players, because if you do go all in and you miss, they would have to totally reset everything that they just did, because they won't be able to go all in again the next season. Have you ever seen a team go all in 2 years in a row? I haven't. And it's almost impossible with the way that salary cap is today and with the way that salaries are constructed today. It is near impossible to go back-to-back all in unless you have a team like the Lions that are so close. It's never just one player. But I'll add this to that. The Packers better win the Super Bowl than this year, right? Because they win all in on an edge player named Micah Parsons, right? So they should win it because they got the edge rusher. According to 50% of the Lions fans, that was the answer. So I'm hoping they don't win it, but they should, right? Because that they did what you wanted the Lions to do. Not you personally, but you get what I'm saying. So overall edge, we expect Aiden to be Aiden. We're hearing that he's even better. Calvin Shepard last night mentioned something about a certain player, but I wonder if Eric's going to bring that question. We'll see what Eric has to say. Eric, what do you have for Tim this morning?
Well, I have a couple questions. So last year, the Detroit Lions defense finished 7th in scoring defense at right around 20 points a game. Now with a healthy defense, if we can stay healthy for this whole year, where do you see the Lions finishing? And then my second question is, if you were the GM of the Lions, if you could be GM for this season and you got to make this decision, you got to make the decision whether it's Zadarius Smith or it is Marcus Davenport at edge. You get to pick one of these guys, only one. You get to pick a former first-round pick who's been often injured through all of his seasons, or you get to pick Zadarius Smith, who last had 12 sacks with the Packers. He was their last double-digit sack edge. So if you had the chance and you had the choice, which one of those two would you pick, and where do you think the Lions defense scoring-wise ends up this year?
Can I add something to that? Because that's a good question. What are the cap ramifications, right? Because if you bring back Zadarius at 16 million, versus 2 million,
I was taking that part out of it.
Okay, so it's just a 1-for-1. Who cares what happens?
Which player would you prefer on the Lions this year? I want to know where he stands on the Z versus Davenport issue.
I gotcha. All right, go for it.
Yeah, for the first question, if they stay healthy, I can see them teetering around the same. I mean, it's hard to allow less than 20 points a game in the NFL. I mean, these are it's the NFL. But I think with everybody that they have, and like we said, if they're healthy, it's going to be a top defense. Man, the second question. I mean, they're two different players, really. Davenport sets the edge and is better against the run. Zadarius Smith is more of a pass rusher, especially like at this age. So that's hard. I would have to say probably Zadarius Smith, just because then we wouldn't have to manufacture a lot of blitz packages, and we can maybe drop more guys in coverage just to let the D-line wreak havoc. But you also have Al-Qadim Muhammad, who can rush the passer, and I think you put him opposite on pass rushing downs of Aiden Hutchinson. I think he can, and that's one of the, I guess, few things that came out of the injury season last year was we got guys that we saw could play like Muhammad. I think I'm just with everybody. Like if Davenport can stay healthy, I'd probably go with him. But I think it's just the health right now. It's like I'd like to have Smith in just so that I know that we have somebody that is there.
So let me add something to that. Davenport stays healthy. Zadarius stays healthy all season, and you brought up a good point. Zadarius is he's a third down specialist at this point in his career. That's what he is. Davenport can play all three downs, but you're right about the big, at least I believe you're right about the biggest thing is him setting the edge, pushing the pocket, crushing the can and stopping the run is way more important than getting after the passer on first and second down, especially if they're run downs. If you need someone to get after the passer, I think that we already highlighted earlier what could possibly happen for this defense this season, which is a lot more linebacker blitz, nickel blitz, safety blitz, DB blitz. I think that our packages are going to come from the outside in. I don't think it's going to be a lot of, getting after the quarterback on the line. I think that's going to be your natural front four is going to have to win their one-on-ones, much like you saw the Eagles do last season. But I think this season's going to be more highlights of Jack Campbell getting after the quarterback, Alex Anzalone, then Derek Barnes, then Nick Stewart, and then Amik Robertson, and then Brian Branch. It's going to come from everywhere. It's something that we did not see a lot with AG. But when he did utilize it, oh, man, did it work. And now I think that we have the right personnel. When I think about Marcus Davenport being able to lock an edge down, and that pushes the ball towards Aiden, you don't have a choice. right? It's now you have to run one way or the other. If I go towards Marcus, I'm going to get tackled. If I go towards Aiden, I'm going to get tackled. There's really no choice for him anymore, especially when you back up Marcus Davenport with either a Grant Stewart or an Amik Robertson or a Brian Branch, and now you're firing them off the edge behind Marcus Davenport, still allowing your linebackers to do their job if you are in a natural 4-3. So I'll add that caveat. If both players, Davenport and Za'Darius, were to stay healthy all season, who's your pick? And then we'll move on to Terry and Arnold after that.
Yeah, if we're going that way, and I think that's what you're trying to get at too, Eric. So that's my bad. But yeah, I'm going with Davenport. Because just look at how the team's built. They're built to they want to stop the run, and that's been their thing since Dan Campbell's been here. And football will always be about running the ball and stopping the run. That'll never change. And if first and second down, it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of pass rushers. If on first down you're getting 6 yards, and then on second down you're getting 6 yards, you're never in passing downs. So yeah, if it just goes back to what you said. You can get a pass rush pretty much from anywhere. But being able to have guys to plug gaps and stop the run, that's a huge thing.
That's hard. It's hard to do in the NFL. Being able to be, have integrity in your gap assignment, and in this defense. Let's not kid ourselves. Anytime that you have more than one gap responsibility, and I don't know if the Lions have made a change here. See, there's so many what ifs right now. We don't know what we don't know. And even though you're watching the guys in practice and you're watching them in preseason, they didn't use scheme. How do we know they didn't change to a single gap this year? How do we know they didn't go to a full double gap this year? We know that it's been a gap and a half assignment, and that's pretty tough to do. But if your guys on the line have a gap and a half assignment, that means that your linebackers should be relatively free as long as they don't have to pick somebody up over the middle, like you said, earlier. So if they don't have an assignment coming out of the backfield, or a tight end leaking across the middle, or a slot going the other way, now you have opportunity. And we know what opportunity is, with these guys. They're going to take full advantage. Terry and Arnold was blessed by Calvin Shepard the other day. And then after this, Riley, I want to go to you. So Calvin Shepard was on the Believe podcast with Glover Quinn. And he was asked very pointedly, who is the player that has stood out the most to you this season? And he prefaced it by saying, well, make sure that, when this drops, that I know, so I can go cuss that player out before it happens, because I don't want him thinking that his head's too big, that he's too good. And he says, of course we could say Aiden. Everyone's going to say Aiden. We expect Aiden to do Aiden things. But if I understand the question, it's who's really stood out. Terry and Arnold, the guy I've expected to have a huge second season. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but that's okay. So does Calvin Shepard. He says that Terry and Arnold is now a legit CB1. And that's what he believes in. And Terrian's missed some time this year, but the time that he's been in, he looks like a CB1 that can actually travel with the receivers. So how do you think that and the addition of DJ Reed is going to help solidify this back end once again, which obviously gives a ton of help to your defensive front? How do you think that the DB room is going to look this season?
I think it's going to be better than last year. A lot of people, I don't understand the negativity towards Terry and Arnold. The first couple games he had, they weren't good. He's learning. No one's going to come in and be a Hall of Famer that first game. You can probably count on one hand, guys that come in and just tear it up week one. But all the penalties that he had, everything like that, those disappeared as the year went on, and he looked like a legitimate, number one corner. And I think you're going to see him line up against the other team's best early this year. Maybe not week 1 or 2, but it's going to happen. And that's not saying anything against DJ Reed. DJ Reed's a fantastic corner, but Terry Arnold's the guy that you drafted to be that guy. I think one of the underrated players, and I was super excited that when the Lions signed him, was Avonte Maddox. I think that guy is going to be just a tremendous addition and a big help with where he can play outside, inside. He can play safety. Like he's just, and coming from a team that won a Super Bowl, he can tell everybody it goes back to what Dan. It takes more. This is what it's going to take to get to that next level. A guy that I was really surprised with in the preseason that I actually didn't think was going to make it till his name just kept popping up was Rock Ya-Sin. Like I really was surprised at him. And I'm happy now that he did make it, that he played that well. Amik is Amik. I have a Vikings a friend that's a Vikings fan that talks. Oh, I get Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, is probably the best receiver in the league, but Amik shut him down. So I remind him every day I see him. Yeah, Amik shut him down. Yeah.
I'll never forget my call last year ever. I mean, that was one of my favorite calls of last season. We do calls before each game, and I said, man, if the Vikings are smart, or if the Lions are smart, they're going to take what technically is your worst corner and put it on Justin, take your best corner, put it on that's, the second best receiver. And that's exactly what the Lions did. Now, Meek is not by any means the worst corner on this team. It's just, it's a stupid analogy that I guess I used. And Meek shut him down. And then Terrian filled in the second half of that game and took on JJ, and the same happened, right? They both shut him down. It was probably one of the best coached defenses I've seen from Aaron Glenn ever. And you talk about manufacturing pressure. Man, they brought it from everywhere. And that's what I love about having the versatility. You speak of Avonte Maddox. I mean, you have the versatility of a guy that can play anywhere on the field, in the back end anyway. You have the versatility of Amik Robertson, inside, outside guy, slot. You have the versatility of Brian Branch. He can play anywhere on the field, too, in the back end. I mean, that's why Brad built this team this way. So you don't ever have to be in a box or pigeonholed with just one player being able to do one thing. And so when you look at the defensive line and you see multiple guys that can play inside, outside, we have now gone to this heavy guy in the middle, Tyleek at 330, DJ Reader I think is 320, and then you've got a bunch of tweeners. Aleem McNeil I think is 305, 310, but then everyone else is like between 270 and 290. And so you've got these guys that have speed and versatility to get outside or inside, 3, 5, 7, 9 tech, whatever it is, they can go all the way out or all the way in. And I love that about this defense. And so when I see people crying about our depth or, worried about the edge depth or whatever it is, I think that they forget that we still have Pascal coming back. We still have Mekhi Wingo getting ready for the season. And he's going to have a nice second-year jump. He looked good this year or last season at times. We have a ton of versatility. And if we could do it last year on the backs of janitors, like you said, imagine what we can do when we're healthy. So let's move to Riley. Riley, what do you have for Tim this morning? What kind of question you want to ask?
Yeah, so it was a little bit kind of what we all just kind of wrapped up there on that. But I guess I'll just pointedly ask you, Tim, who is your CB1 right now? And who do you think will be your CB1, let's say, like week 8, halfway through the season?
For me, yeah, it would be DJ Reed for now. And then by week 8, yeah, it'd be Terrion.
Fair enough. That's kind of what I thought, but I just wanted to ask and clarify. And I think that I kind of fall right in line with that thought process.
Let's move to the offensive side of the ball. Tim, how long are you on for today?
As long as you guys will have me.
All right. So till noon it is. No, I'm just kidding. So let's move to the offensive side of the football. I don't think that any of us are surprised at Jared Goff's success. Well, I don't think any of the guys in this room, right, our room, is surprised. Tim, I don't remember what you said about Jared Goff the first time we met and spoke about the Lions. Did you think that Jared was a bridge to begin? I don't remember. And I know you're always honest about things. So Where did you think he began, and where do you see him now? His contract's going to balloon to $70 million next year. How do you think this all works for Detroit? And would there be a different quarterback that you want right now? Did the Lions make the right decision?
I think so. When they first made the trade, I hated it. I'll be honest. I absolutely hated it. I was just like, it is what it is. Cool. This is where we're going with the offense, right? Because I remember when the Rams went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and everybody was Sean McVay. This offense is great, and you can someone will find the tweet for me because it's out there. I said Bill Belichick will make the Rams have to use Jared Goff. He's going to make Jared Goff win the game. And they scored 3 points. Now, I think that Jared Goff compared to the Jared Goff we have now and the growth that he's had and the development and just being a more mature quarterback is completely different. Is there anyone in the league that I would want over Jared Goff? There maybe, there might be a couple, but I mean, I'm not looking to trade Jared Goff. There's guys out there. I think everybody can be like, okay, yeah, if you just swapped 1-1, maybe, there might be someone, but that's not saying that Goff's not good. I'm 100% with Goff. I'm behind Goff. I'm fine with his contract. It balloons up next year. I think they'll do something with that eventually. And yeah, maybe with the 3 question marks, I see it in the comment. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No, we can debate that, forever. But I think there's a lot to say with how the team believes in him, how the coaches believe in him, and that goes a long way too to help with a quarterback. But yeah, I think they made the right decision by extending him, by keeping him, by saying, this is our guy. I think they raised a lot of eyebrows when they drafted Hendon Hooker, like, hey, this might be the guy. And Jared Goff continued to go up. I think Hooker was drafted to maybe be that guy to if Goff didn't keep growing or fell off. And that was completely the opposite. He's just gotten better. But yeah, I have no issues. Goff is the guy, and hopefully he stays the guy for a while. I don't see them drafting any quarterback high, at least in the next couple of seasons. They might take one later rounds just to see if they can develop, and hopefully it's a younger one and not a 25-year-old rookie this time. But yeah, Goff's the quarterback in Detroit, and as big of a Stafford guy as I was, I do think that Goff has become the best quarterback that the Lions have had.
I would agree. Eric is up against his clock today, so Eric, floor is yours, man. Any questions for Tim? Anything else you want to leave with us today?
Sure. I got 2 questions before I say goodbye to everyone. My first one is, what is your biggest concern with the Detroit Lions offense? And then number 2, what is your opinion on the Tim Patrick trade? And I'll see all you guys tomorrow. I'll listen in.
All right, Eric, have a good day, buddy.
The first one is really
hold on, Tim. One sec. Sorry, buddy. 1 sec. For some reason, your audio didn't transfer. All right, there you go. You should be in now.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, the first question is the biggest concern. I think it's everybody's concern is just the interior of the O-line, and that's not even really a big concern. I think it's just the most glaring one because a lot of people forget that we still have Hank Fraley. Christian Mahogany is the limited sample size he had. He still looked very, very good. Graham Glasgow is still a very good lineman, and even though he doesn't like to play center, I think he's more than capable. Is he Frank Ragnow? No. Is Tate Ratledge, Frank Ragnow? No. Anybody that we drafted was going to be Frank? No. Anybody that we signed or traded for was not going to be Frank. So that the comparisons there, like, oh, well, he's not Frank, right? Like, that has to stop. Like, Frank is Frank. Tate Ratledge playing in his more natural position of right guard, I think is a little bit, it relaxes you a little bit more than trying to go in with a rookie center. And I know people be like, oh, well, there's been rookie centers that started before, and yeah, that's great, but they've also played center. Tate's practiced at center. He's never actually gotten live game reps. So I'm good.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, just going right guard to left guard. That's why Glasgow doesn't like playing left guard and he prefers right guard. Like, there's a big difference there. You can't just swap them.
Well, I mean, if you were to break it all the way down, I mean, you're anchoring different, right? It's muscle memory. So when you're a right guard, maybe you're anchoring back with your right foot. When you're a left guard, you've got to anchor back with your left foot, depending on where the play is going, right? If it's going to your left, you're trying to anchor down on your left. Right guard, if it's going to your right, you're anchoring down on your right. So it's muscle memory, and sometimes you forget, and sometimes you make a mistake. Your feet get all fumbled up. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but you're spot on with never playing center. Getting a few snaps at center is one thing in practice, which Tate did get at the college level. He got some practice in, but never game reps. Center is one of the most difficult positions, if not the most difficult position, not named quarterback on the field. And that's, I mean, there's like 4 positions that I would put out there as the hardest to learn. And obviously it's quarterback, center, and tight end, and middle linebacker. Those are probably the toughest positions to learn. And maybe you could throw in safety as like the 5th hardest. Safety is a tough position too. It's not just out there free roaming, having fun. Like you've got to know a ton to be back there and be trusted that you're going to make the right decisions. So all great points. Quick question. You were starting to go into it, but U of M dad says he's concerned with the O-line additions, primarily Mahogany and Ratledge pulling their weight so that Graham, Decker, and Panay can focus on their own assignments. And then Jay Schmitty also followed up with, I'm a bit concerned with Taylor Decker's durability as the elder statesman. Who do we have that can hold their weight? God forbid he misses time this season. So I guess offensive line. Break it down as best as you can. Where do you see the weaknesses, the strengths? Hopefully everyone stays healthy. You kind of said, hey, it is what it is, but kind of give us your overall take.
Yeah, I think it's the depth with the O-line because, I mean, we have Jamarco Jones. The Lions showed that they like him, so it's him and Manu, right? And Manu's been up and down, but they didn't add anything, and that's the thing where even those of us that think we know a lot, and I'm included in that. Like, we're not there every day to see the progress. We're not there day in and day out in the meetings, in the weight room, and the practice field, seeing the progress that's made. So, who they went with their line, starters, backups, that's who they're with. And I mean, we can sit here and be worried and complain, but it's also, there's 31 other teams that have the same questions. They lose 1 or 2 offensive linemen, their offense is going to suffer. You just have to hope that you bring in guys, draft or undrafted free agents and things like that can step in. And I think the Lions and Brad Holmes showed that they're pretty good at evaluating guys that can come in and not miss a beat with what they did last year with all the injuries, still going 15-2. And the depth on both sides of the ball, we can complain about the depth and worry about it, but that depth also, again, went 15-2 until the depth started disappearing. Then it started to fall apart. But I think they brought in a lot of people that we still, I think they signed some dudes on the practice squad. So I mean, that's the main concern. I'm not really worried about the starters. I'm not worried about can they pull their weight so that Decker or Sewell can worry about their responsibilities, because the Lions are already preaching that. Do your job. Don't worry about the next guy. If you're worried about this guy, you're too busy watching him and you're not doing your job. And now we have two issues.
Exactly. Do your job is the most important thing. Let me throw up the depth chart, and then Riley, I'll kick it over to you in just a minute. So here's your unofficial, official first depth chart of the season. And let me just kind of run through, since we're talking about offensive line here. You at left tackle, you have Taylor Decker obviously getting the start. Behind him is Giovanni Manu. At left guard is Christian Mahogany. He does not have a direct backup. At center, you have Graham Glasgow. He has an immediate backup with Kingsley, and Tate would be your third backup if we ever had to go that far. Tate Ratledge is your right guard. He's backed up by Coyote Owasika. And right tackle, Penei Sewell, his immediate backup is Jamarco Jones. Now, Jamarco Jones really stood out to me in the preseason. He got 35 snaps in. I believe it was the game against Miami. And I thought he played fast. I thought that he anchored well. I thought that he got out in space and did a really good job going up against some of those defensive ends. I'm glad to see that he finally made the roster. It was one of my early calls that I felt that Jamarco Jones was going to make this roster. I think the Lions are in much better shape with him on the roster than on the practice squad where he was last season as a vet. So no real concerns here. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we have the guys that we have. I would love to have more depth. We just don't have it. Not yet. And to your point, Tim, yeah, any other team, you lose a tackle, a guard, a center. There's not many teams out there that can just plug, pull, and or pull and plug and put in play. Riley, what do you have for Tim on the offensive side of the football for something other than the offensive line?
Yeah, well, this one I know, Tim, you are a big Jameson Williams guy, as am I. I think most all of us are, but are you concerned that he prices himself out of Detroit with his play this upcoming season? What's the over-under, like percentage-wise, that you feel like this could be JMO's last season in Detroit? 50%, less, more?
I think it's less. I mean, especially if you watch I think he stays. So that way, I may have answered it wrong, but I think he stays. Especially if you watch the latest interview he had, where he said he loves Dan Campbell and Dan stayed by him and trusted him and worked with him as he matured and grew. So I think there's a lot of. Does that mean hometown discount, anything like that? No, and I don't blame any player for not giving a team a hometown discount. I mean, why should you? Get all the money you can. I don't, but I also don't think we're going to handle contract negotiations the way Dallas does, or other teams do that kind of piss off their star players to where now they're not showing up. Now it's an issue. Now we're trading them but I think he stays. I've been on board of saying that since day one. He stays. You can't trade him. Especially when there was rumors and there was other media guys out there saying, oh, maybe you trade him now, and his stock isn't. His stock will be super high at the end of this year. But I still wouldn't trade him. To go back, I know Eric asked a question about the Tim Patrick trade. I wasn't shocked by it because I thought Tesla was drafted to be the replacement for Tim Patrick. I just didn't think it was going to happen this quick. But I knew this was going to be Tim Patrick's last season regardless. It just happened before the season actually got underway. But going back to JMO, yeah, I think he stays. I mean, obviously he's going to stay till next year because they got the fifth-year option. So we don't have to worry about him not being potentially not on the roster till 27 anyway.
I think that's a great answer too. And so I think that would be kind of the crux of it, is that it would be how the Lions approach the negotiation, right? It's not just to say, hey, well, JMO can say that stuff now. Now would be the time going into this, the start of the season. I love Dan Campbell, love everything. That's all cool and well, but let's see what he says in a year from now or whatever it is. But I think you're right. If the Lions just go to him with a strong, reasonable offer off the bat, maybe he says, okay, yep, pay me what is reasonable, what's fair. And that would be awesome. Would love to keep that dynamic of this offense intact beyond just this upcoming season for sure.
I wish I had both of your guys' faith in this situation. We've seen the cap blow up for the second wide receiver. I mean, look at what T. Higgins just brought in. And you know, earlier, Tim, I don't know if you heard me talking about the edge position, but I'll come back to that on the salary cap that was projected this morning by David Muligata, Parsons' agent, and where that's trending here in the next 4 seasons. Sticking with wide receiver, I did expect Tim Patrick to get traded. I thought that it was going to happen simply because the rise of Tesla preseason, let's just be honest, preseason, looked good. We don't know what he's going to look like against the ones outside of practice. He looked pretty good against DJ Reed at times. And then at times he got shut down by Kirby Joseph. So we'll see where that trends. But I think the Lions have a really good opportunity with another receiver that also totes the rock, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. How much stock are you putting in Jahmyr Gibbs to really elevate this receiver room this year out of the backfield? I know it's a little bit unnatural to say, how is he going to elevate the receiver room? But I believe that Jahmyr Gibbs has kind of been on this slow trajectory since he was brought in. It was, yep, we're going to use him a ton, to now it's, we haven't seen it. He got, 500 yards or something like that last season through the air. You're talking a guy that could put up 750, 800 or more this season in the pass game. How do you think that works for the Lions this year? Does he edge out a guy like Khalif Raymond for snaps in the pass game? Do we see some more sets with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs on the field together? What does that present the defenses for fits? So kind of those 3 questions.
Yeah, I hope we see him and Montgomery on the field at the same time. I think Gibbs is one of those players that can join that like rare club of 1,000 in both categories. I think he can get 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. He's that player, and if they scheme it right and they get him the ball, I think it can happen. I think putting him in motion, jet motions, misdirection, screens, line him up, have him in the backfield, motion him out to like the slot, because there's not a lot of corners that are going to keep up with him and be able to match up with him. Now, if you line him up in the backfield, show the defense that you're coming out in this look, motion him out, and now you've got him isolated on a linebacker. Good luck. There's not and I'll argue all day, but there's not a single linebacker in the league that will cover Jahmyr Gibbs one-on-one.
Without a doubt. And man, it's speaking my language to, just envision this for a moment. It's Jahmyr Gibbs on the left. I'm sorry. Tripp's right, far right. Gibbs on the left, J-Mo on the right, Amon-Ra behind him, right? You're going to send 2 speedsters out. How is any defense going to be able to cover that speed and then the shiftiness of Amon-Ra St. Brown underneath? I don't care if you send Gibbs straight left to pull the linebackers away, and you send J-Mo straight north to take off the top and take the coverage away by the safety, and then you've got Amon-Ra who always does what he does. Or you could even put Tesla in that position, who's a little bit faster than Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then you still got David Montgomery behind the line of scrimmage, who can also catch the ball. Like it's insane. If we see that this year, that'll be enough to make my season. To see that formation with David in the back, those 3 out to the right, whether it's Amon-Ra or Tesla with J-Mo and Gibbs, it's too much speed. Nobody's going to be able to handle that. I'm sure you've probably daydreamed of all sorts of plays with these guys and things that can be drawn up. How does David Montgomery fit into this offense this year? Do you think he's going to get utilized a little bit more in the screen game than years past?
Yeah, I think so. Because again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Like he's not the guy that he's not like a one-dimensional back. Is he as fast as Gibbs? And no, he's a little bit slower, but he still has the moves. He can still shake defenders. And I think it'd be smart to use him in the screen game, because if you line up, like you said, with everybody spread out, you're spreading the defense. Now you have a very thin box. You don't have guys crowding the line, and then you can just turn and hand it to him. And that's going to be great for running the ball. But you want to be able to use your running backs. You don't want to go back to the days of like when Theo Riddick would come in. You knew we were passing the ball. You knew he was going to hit some kind of angle route. You knew he was going to a swing route, a screen, something like that. With Gibbs and Montgomery, you don't know what's coming. It could be a pass, it could be a screen, it could be a run right up the middle. And I think Johnny Morton understands that, or I hope he does. He's already, he said that he's not going to change a lot of the offense. But I hope in that regards he does. I hope he utilizes the weapons and doesn't become predictable depending on who's in the backfield.
I love the unpredictability, and that's what makes this offense so special. Is Jared Goff? I want to kind of roll back to him. I mean, just like I said in my article yesterday, when he arrived in Detroit in 2021, many viewed him as a bridge. And then 3 seasons later, the Detroit Lions made him the highest paid player in franchise history, a 4-year, $212 million extension. Obviously, it's cemented, him as the unquestioned leader of this team for the foreseeable future. Obviously, a lot of SOL fans booed the move, right? And with the help of all the national pundits, they kind of took every single shot they could at Jared Goff, labeling him mediocre at best, calling for Hendon Hooker to lead the team. I mean, how silly, how much pie on the face do we have now thinking about Hendon Hooker potentially leading this team? As Goff lacks, game-changing ability is what they said, and with his legs, and he's not good enough, and now he's overpaid, that Hendon needed to be the guy. And then in 24, his 4th season in Detroit, Goff delivered one of the most efficient and prolific campaigns in NFL history. He guided the Lions to a 15-2 record, their first number 1 seed, back-to-back NFC North titles. And not only did he quiet the haters, Goff piloted an offense that ranked first in points per game, second in passing yards, thriving in play action, one of the best teams in the NFL to do it, 75% completion rate, 10.2 yards per attempt, 125 passer rating. I mean, all league bests for Jared Goff. Fueling, which all helps to fuel what we're talking about. That number 2 rushing attack from last season, which easily could be number 1 this year. Goff is steady. He's surgical. We know that he can lead this offense. And when you have the weapons that you have, I don't see how this offense can't be the best offense this year. Where do you see this offense finishing? And by the way, Goff also finished 6th in completion percentage over expected last season, which means I know a lot of people think that he doesn't have an arm, and a lot of people think he's not a good quarterback. He was completing a high number of passes that your average quarterback in the NFL cannot make based on the level of difficulty of the throw. So Goff does everything well. There's not a whole lot of things he didn't do well last season and the season before and the last 8 games of the season before that, when this tide really changed for Detroit. So where do you see this offense going overall? Who are your biggest hitters this season? And kind of like with the defense, man, give us your total overall take.
I think for sure top 3. They're going to be a top 3 offense, scoring, yards, everything like that. I really do think by the end of the year, they could and they should be number 1, just with the amount of firepower that they have. Like you said, Goff, there's not a lot that Goff doesn't do well. He can hit pretty much every throw. Even his deep ball when he was first kind of starting to throw it out there for J-Mo and it looked a little underthrown or wobbly, and then all of a sudden he started overthrowing J-Mo. That now all of a sudden you see it in practice, like they're right there. I think really the only criticism for Goff is just, man, I wish he didn't look like a baby deer running, but that's okay. I think that's more of Ben Johnson trying to be
baby deer.
I think it's just Ben Johnson trying to be weird and have him do boots and rollouts and stuff like that instead of just, hey, you have him drop back and just pick apart the defense. And I think that's where Johnny Morton's gonna get to, is just let him drop back and let him pick apart, especially if you spread it out like we were saying. Like there's no one on the team that you can double. Like everybody's just too good, and it's crazy to think that St. Brown, as good as he is possibly the slowest receiver we have.
That's nuts, because on film, on the field, he's so much faster. His game speed is a lot faster than what his 40 says, and that's why a lot of people don't care about a 40. Like, put the
and
GP,
I know last time we. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say just put the GPS on me when I'm in game, and he was clocked at over 21 miles per hour one season, which does not match to a 4.5 40. It's much faster. You were gonna say something?
Yeah, and that's something like, the 40-yard dash is like, it's cool to see how. Oh man, he looked super fast, but I mean, find in a game when somebody's running in a straight line for 40 yards. Like, how often does that happen? Without anybody coming at an angle or trying to make a tackle. Like, that's cool. Like, there's a difference between straight line speed and shiftiness, and I think that's where St. Brown is such a technician with it, like with his route running and everything like that. Now on the other argument is. Goes along with why I think JMO is going to stay, is because you can't teach speed like that, and especially a guy that's refining his routes, a guy that's getting better as the year or as his career goes along with tracking the ball and catching the ball. He's a weapon. Same thing as Gibbs when Brad Holmes drafted him. We didn't draft a running back, we drafted a weapon, and that's where everybody's at. Everybody on the offense is a weapon.
Obviously, I couldn't agree more. I've got a couple more things. Riley, I'll get right back to you in just 1 minute. The latest statement about the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, it's a big game this week. I just saw a statement here by Cam Newton where he said, you can't honestly say the Packers are better than the Lions with a straight face. Even with Micah Parsons, it didn't change a thing. And I agree with that. I mean, I think that this deal is probably going to blow up in their face. I do want to get your Packers prediction, but I want to throw this out there before we step off of Goff. 7 NFL records last year. 6 franchise records, and there might be more. These are just the 13 that I put together. Most pass attempts without an incompletion in a game, 18 for 18 versus Seattle in week 4. Most passing yards without an incompletion in a game, 292 yards. Highest completion percentage over a 6-game span, 82.6%. That is nuts. Only quarterback in NFL history to complete 80% in 3 straight games, a minimum of 15 attempts. Highest passer rating over a 6-game span, 140.1. Only quarterback in NFL history with 6 straight games of 72% plus completions, 105 plus passer rating, plus a TD pass. And number 7, Detroit became the first team in league history to have 2 players each throw a TD and catch a TD in the same game, week 4 against Seattle. 7 NFL records, all of them belonging to Goff. Franchise records. He set single season completion percentage at 72.4. He broke his own record of 67.3 in 2023. He set single high passer rating, 111.8. He set a single season yards per attempt at 8.6. Career best TD passes, 37. Second most in franchise history. How about Lions offense set franchise records for the most team points in a season? Lions offense set franchise records for most touchdowns in a season. I don't know of another quarterback that I would really want on my team. I really don't. Let's get into the Packers. Unless Riley, you have anything else that you want to ask, offense or defense?
No, I think just offense and defense. I guess kind of to put it all in under one umbrella. Would you say, Tim, is this top to bottom the most talented Lions roster in your lifetime?
Yes.
I would agree, man. There's no doubt. There's
Easy
no
enough.
doubt.
Because even the, and I'm going to go back here. Even the 94 season when they had the 3 receivers that went over 1,000, they had Barry, Scott Mitchell at the time put up 30 something touchdown passes, which was unheard of in that. This team is just there's just weapons everywhere. There's not a lot of like glaring question marks as to like, oh, I think this is a weak point. We're all just kind of it's a lot of it's a lot of ifs. The health might be a question, or the depth here might be a question, but this is one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, you made a comment earlier too, kind of that waking up on a Sunday morning kind of feeling. We go through it every football fan where you try to convince yourself like they're going to win this game, but it's very real with this Lions roster. We're going to ask you right here your thoughts for Green Bay. I'll admit I'm a little bit nervous for the game, but it's not just, man. I'm hoping and can try to convince myself by Sunday that they can go do it. Like I know that the talent's there. I know the coaching's there. I know that the Lions can win this game, and you have that very real expectation every Sunday, and that it's not just hope, fandom hope. It's like this. If I was playing the Lions, I'd be like, this is going to be a really, really tough game to win.
I mean, going into any game, no matter how good of a team you are, you can be confident, but there is concern, and I don't know if that's the right word, but there is it's football. It's live. It's not scripted. Anything could happen. We could have a problem with the turf. We could have a problem holding on to the ball. Yeah, there's always something that could go wrong. I think though that the Lions are just better. They're better equipped and they're better prepared to handle everything. Look at last year with the however many turnovers we had in the Texans game, and they still were able to win it. It's not one thing goes bad, here we go again, the game's over. It's like, all right, well, it's okay. A second turnover, third turnover, 4 turnovers, cool, we're good, we're still in it, we got it. Yep, I think in the past, you one interception and it's like, oh, here we go. All right, let's see if we can stop the bleeding. Now it's like, all right, well, we're just gonna keep, we're gonna keep fighting back. Look, Detroit's 6-1 in their last 7 games against the Packers, so I'm not worried about them. I don't think will Parsons have an impact. I don't know, is he gonna play? How effective is he gonna be with however many injections he's gonna get to have to play? We'll see. If they line him up against Penei Sewell, cool, run at him all day. If he's going to go up against Taylor Decker, that's all right. That's where it's a little bit iffy. But they still have nothing up the middle, and they got rid of their best. They got rid of their best defensive lineman. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, he was having a bad year anyway and declining. That's still better than what they have. I'm not worried about their linebackers. Their corners, all right. I mean, I know they have a converted wide receiver in Bo Melton. That's one of their corners. He might not start, but he's going to be out there. So if we go back to what we said, where we line up 4 receivers and he's got to trot out there, and you have a converted wide receiver trying to cover, Tesla, good luck. I'm going to throw at him all day.
Well, they lost Jair Alexander too, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing: Jordan Love's still their quarterback, and Micah Parsons doesn't change that fact.
Yes, exactly. All right, so a couple quick questions that I want to get into the final prediction on the Packers. 2 things, maybe 3. Number 1, the Lions haven't had a top 5 defense since 2014. Last year, I left the first day of camp. I said this is the best defense I've seen since 2014. Had the Lions stayed healthy, that would have been the best defense since 2014. And quite honestly, they did a lot of things better than that team did this year. I left the first day of camp and I came back right here and I said, this won't only be the best defense since 2014. This will be the best defense the Lions have ever had in history. I'm seeing records reset. I'm seeing a defense that is going to completely revolutionize what Lions fans have ever seen. It does depend on the health. More importantly, it depends on the depth. Okay. The third thing I'll add to this, so I'd love to get your take on, can we have the best defense ever? 2, can we have a top 5 defense overall, all metrics included? And number 3, Dan Campbell was asked about Zadarius Smith, and quite simply, he said, we're good. To take that a little bit further, he said, well, we're good right now. I mean, we're pretty good here. We got Marcus Davenport. We got good depth. I like what we got on the interior too. We got a lot of flexibility and we're sitting pretty good right now. So we are ready to go. And the reason why I bring that up is because, like I've always said from day one, Zadarius Smith is that poker chip that you maybe have a handshake deal with this guy that says, look, you're a vet. You don't have to sign with anyone. Stay healthy. Crap happens. If we need you this season because we have some injuries, be ready to go. Furthermore, if we're still fairly healthy, maybe we bring you in with the last 5 or 6 games to go and we get you completely ready for the playoffs. And then we march into the playoffs with a stacked defensive room, right? I think that's the play. Dan Campbell saying, well, we are good right now is the ticket. That tells me that, and this is on 97.1, the ticket, by the way. That tells me that they're probably thinking that there's a future opportunity here. Saying that we're good right now doesn't mean that we won't be bringing him back later. So for everyone that hates me because I said that Z wouldn't be here by week 1, that's fine. Just know that I've always said I expect him to be on this team at some point this season. Hopefully it's not due to injury, but I expect him possibly right before the playoffs should the Lions stay healthy. So those 3 things. 1, could we have a top 5 defense? 2, that would mean that we would be just as good as 2014. But do you think that we could have the best defense ever if they stay healthy? And then 3, obviously, I think you already answered this. Z is probably going to come back at some point, potentially. So what do you think about that? And then number 4, this morning they mentioned that the edge position was going to grow to $65 million to $70 million per season in 4 seasons. How do you think that affects the Lions' thoughts and processes now that we understand where the trend is for the defensive end position, on why they're probably going to start stacking this defense in the linebacker room and use more linebackers, which are about a third less expensive than a defensive end right now? I think that you're going to see a shift with NFL defenses getting away from defensive ends as much as possible and stacking the linebacker room, just like they did with the running back position about 5 years ago. They got away from running backs. They stacked receivers. Now the running back, salary is starting to creep up and the receiver salary is starting to creep up. So it's kind of that double-edged sword. But that's how I see the ebbs and flows of the NFL when it comes to contracts. So I guess give me your overall take on all of that, and then give us your final take here on your prediction for the weekend.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely have a top 5 defense. So yes, the second question, yes, I think like we said, it's a lot of ifs still, but if they finish healthy, yeah, the top 5 defense, best defense in history, which that would be fantastic. But I think they do have the potential to do that. And I think more sooner rather than later, you're going to start hearing Calvin Shepard's name start being mentioned for jobs. And it could be, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens even this offseason. I forget what the third question was, so I'll go into the man. If if the defensive end market is that high, please sign Hutchinson now. Don't wait any longer. 65, 70 million for a defensive end is absurd. But again, if it's going that way and the cap is rising, and I think with who the Lions have in the front office, they'll be able to make anything work and be able to keep a lot of guys. And that's why I'm so confident on being able to keep, J-Mo and keep a lot of these core guys because of that reason. The third question, was Zadarius Smith. Yeah, if he doesn't sign within the next couple of days, which I don't think he will, I think it's always been that handshake deal of, hey, we're going to get you after week 1. I think it happens then. But I could also see them bringing him on the practice squad. That is a possibility, and then using up 3 elevations before they have to activate him. So that's also a way to kind of stash him on the roster, and he doesn't have to sign with anybody if anyone comes calling. So if that's a way that can be a way for them to add him to the roster without actually adding him to the roster. So even if they didn't want to wait till after week 1, I mean, I could see him going straight to the practice. And now you're gonna have to make room on the practice squad, but that could be a possibility that, like, I thought of too, was, hey man, maybe Saturday night, put him on the practice squad and then name him as one of the elevations.
Yeah, so it's a good thought. I don't know how that works with the vet salary. I think the practice squad has some guarantees, right? But I do know that anytime before week 1, when a vet is on your 53 man, I believe it's only the 53, that vet base minimum is guaranteed. And that number stuck out to me from the very beginning, that's why Zadarius wasn't going to be on this roster by week 1. I know a lot of people, again, they think I was nuts. But it's how teams operate, right? There's a financial implication to everything. And that's where, I kind of gravitated towards, we see how Brad and Dan and the financial team behind them are constructing this team. All right, let's get into your predictions. And then Riley, anything you want to shoot back at them. But Packers and Lions, where do you think it go? Where you see it going this weekend? Who's your big players, scores, whatever you want to talk about?
For me, I think I don't know. You guys can still hear me and see me, right?
Yeah, I think you froze out for a minute there.
Okay. Predictions. I see the Lions winning by 2 scores. I want maybe 10 points, 10 or more points. I think it's going to be slow at first in the first half, just because of the rust and everything. But I don't really see it being close coming into towards the end of the game. That could be just me being a Lions fan, but I don't see what everybody else sees with Green Bay as suddenly, they got one guy in a trade and now they're Super Bowl favorites and they're just going to go 17-0 and win everything.
Yeah, I don't see that either. So you got a two score win. I think something's going on with the feed, so we'll end it there. Appreciate you joining us. I'll send you a message after we're done. I had a couple of questions for you. Brandy's asking if we're still on. What do they mean by that? Does something happen to our feed?
I'm not sure. I can still hear you guys. I think Tim's camera froze, but I don't know if you guys can still hear us. Let us know.
All right, let's maybe that was an old message. Yeah, that was an old message. All right, Tim, appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you again throughout the season, man. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I don't know what happened to his feed there at the end. I see us on YouTube. We're fine. Final recap of the day for you. I know we went extra long today, but
yeah, no, it's good, man. It's great to be back on. Like I said, it was it felt like Christmas morning waking up this morning for me. So yeah, I'm excited for this first week, and it's nice to kind of come in and listen to some other people's takes, some fellow Lions fans, and kind of get that optimism again. Not that I'm not optimistic, but it's just cautious optimism going into to week 1. It's going to be a tough game, but just like Dan Campbell said, man, like this is how you want it, man. This is just, we can't run from the competition. Let's just get out the gate, swing, and let's get this thing started. So I think Tim's right. Might be a slow start to the game because we haven't seen, the first string offense out there, but you got to trust that the coaches have a plan in place where that'll be offset. They'll be able to come out, and whether the Lions win this game by 21 or 1, just obviously just get the win. Whatever it takes, whatever the score is, just get the win.
Absolutely. I got to figure out how to sign into SiriusXM. I don't know what is going on here. All right, so final recap of the day for me. Man, it's good to hear, and so I mean everyone understands here is that the show is never like rehearsed. Like guests that I bring on, that's their own takes. That's what they believe in. So it was good to hear that. Obviously he would love to see Z on this squad, but if there was a question of, okay, they both stay healthy, who would you rather see on this team? Who would you rather have on this team? And it was Davenport. And I think that that's big because if you understand the value of what he brings to the table, health is the only thing keeping him back, right? That's it. And I guess I'll kind of err on the or err with it, or, on the side of caution here that last year you had an exuberant amount of injuries. How likely is that going to happen again? You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, it's 100% somebody will get hurt, but to that extent, that many injuries, got to believe it's less than 50.
And the name that was escaping Tim earlier when he was talking about the guy that continued to get injured, it was Emmanuel Mosley, and then how they kept bringing him back to give him another shot. I don't see this really being the same situation for Davenport. I mean, last year, if you didn't watch the game and if you didn't watch my video on it, it's in the video section. Just look up my Davenport videos and look at the one where I talk about Paris Johnson intentionally grabbing, twisting, and chopping his arm. It was the most unnatural play that I've ever seen by an offensive lineman. I believe it was illegal. It should have been called. It wasn't. It should have been a fine. It wasn't. Davenport was asked about it this offseason, but he's not going to tell you, oh, yeah, I felt that was intentional. No, because then he's going to get a fine from the NFL.
Right.
So he's not going to tell you that. The video speaks for itself, right? There's a difference with doing a 2-arm chop or a 1-arm chop trying to get rid of the defensive end's hands. I've never seen a lineman grab an arm and then chop it and pull. Like, come on. It just doesn't happen. I want to go back to one statement, and then we're going to get out for the day. Andrew Isham said, Z Smith isn't signing with the Lions. Holmes let him go with a year left. Let me clarify this again. Z didn't have 1 year left. He had 2 years of where he was going to hit the cap. He had 1 year of playing. So that next season was an additional $6 million for not being on the roster, right? Who did the Lions get this year? Who did the Lions get this year with $6 million? Okay, we'll play that game. Who did they get that cost them $6 million this year? David Montgomery, $5.5 million. So you could lose a potential player like David Montgomery by spending $6 million on a guy that's not even on your roster. Well, DJ Reader's guaranteed salary is only $4 million this year. How about Alex Anzalone? His fully guaranteed deal is $6.25 million. How about, and this is guaranteed money, right? This is not the full contract. This is the guaranteed money. The base salary for some of these guys, let's go there. Meek Robertson's only $4.2. He only has $500,000 in guaranteed money. A lot of these guys are making less than $2 million a year. When you look at their base salary compared to their guarantee, let's look at the overall cap number. Here's the guys that you could potentially sign with $6 million. 6 to 7. We'll go there. Khalif Raymond, Amik Robertson, Jamison Williams on his rookie deal, Jahmyr Gibbs on his rookie deal, DJ Reed, 4.7 this year, Jack Campbell on his rookie deal, $4 million, Kirby Joseph still on his first year, $3.8 million, Jack Fox, 3.8, Roy Lopez, free agent, 3.6, Terry and Arnold on his rookie deal, 3.2. How about Tyleek Williams on his rookie deal, 2.9. Brock Wright, 2.7. Sam Laporta on a rookie deal, 2.6. Derek Barnes, only 2.5. Brian Branch on a rookie deal, 2.2. Marcus Davenport, his deal this year is only $1.7 million. Grant Stewart, 1.7 as a free agent. Khalil Dorsey, 1.4. Tate Ratledge on a rookie deal, 1.3. And the list goes on. El-Kadim Muhammad, 1.2. Avonte Maddox, 1.2. Craig Reynolds, 1.2. Pat O'Connor, 1.1. So you get where I'm going with that. You could easily grab 3 free agents that we have on this roster right now. Avonte Maddox, Craig Reynolds, Pat O'Connor. No, I'm sorry, you grab 5. Jamarco Jones, Pat O'Connor, Craig Reynolds, El-Kadim Muhammad, Avonte Maddox. You add all those contracts up, and it's under $6 million. That's why. That's exactly why they let him go. And I've tried to drive this information all season because I think that the overblown picture was just what Andrew Isham said. Well, why did we let him go? He only had a year. Because that year was $10 million plus 6. And he wasn't on the roster for the other 6. $10 million is even too much for a 33-year-old defensive end. He's expensive. It's expensive, especially for a guy that doesn't play all 3 downs. So that's the bigger answer to it, that it wasn't just about this year. It was also about next year and how the Lions have a ton of players they need to sign next year. Right now, this is the best year that I've ever seen the Lions have. They started out the year with 39 or 40 guys signed before the draft. That's huge. Next year, we're kind of in the same boat. We're starting with 38 guys. It's still a lot of guys you got to sign, right? It's still 13 guys that you need to sign to make your roster. And that's also why, or maybe to fill out your top 51. It's a total of 15 guys that you're going to have to sign to fill out your top 53. And 7 of them are going to come through the rookie draft. And that's why it's really hard to make this team as a 5th, 6th, and 7th rounder. It's really hard. Even a 4th rounder might not make this team at some point. So, all right, good show. Good to see you back in the saddle, Riley. Apologize we went over today. By all means, you can always say you just got to go. You know that.
No, man, it's good. I could keep rolling. So excited, man. We'll be back at it tomorrow.
Yeah. And Andrew, just so you know, I'm not calling you out or anything. I'm using your statement because it was a great statement to explain, some more for some of the other people that maybe haven't heard it, haven't seen it, didn't know. So thank you, because that was a great statement to make.
Sure.
Good stuff. Do you want to put a prediction in? I think, are you on tomorrow?
I think I'll be on at least one more time before the game, so I'll hang on to it until my final appearance before Sunday's kickoff.
Okay. All right. We'll get into Packers tonight. Last night I called off kind of last minute. I got to thinking I had a lot to do, but we're also into week 1. Schedule's going to change a little bit. Wednesday nights will now be gripes and hype, and that's when I'll start getting into some of the breakdown stuff that I do every year. So I'm not just going to do it on Thursday morning or Friday morning. I'm going to get it in tonight. And so we're going to start talking about it because we got Thursday coming up, and then tomorrow we're going to do our full week prediction of all the teams. So be prepared for that. And then what I'm also going to do is we're going to do a 50-cent pick in DraftKings this year with everybody live. We're going to pick every team to win or lose. We're going to put 50 cents on it. And if it hits, they're usually worth $2, $3, $4, $5 grand. So that's what we're going to do together as a team tomorrow, live during the morning show. You guys have a wonderful day. Go Rock. Go One Pride. Go Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys tonight and tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down.